We got this. What is up? Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 136th live stream for the Misfit Gamer Studios. I am your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today, we have... Oh, what do we got here? Uh-oh. Did my TTS not happen? I didn't hear that. Did you?
I did not hear that.
I didn't hear that.
But I saw it.
I did see it.
It's beautiful. Pokeniner, welcome.
That's
very excited for your
unfortunate. I will figure out what's going on with that Hoylepa.
You didn't hear it either, Hoylepa? Sadness.
Don't worry, Hoylepa. Oh wait, no, that is the wrong type. How do I
Soul, what's going on? How you doing? Welcome.
I don't know how to do that. There's a way to give Hoylepa his points back, his XP back, and I just don't know how. I'd have to ask Pixie how to do that. It was going to be a funny joke. I'm mad that it didn't go off. It's good to see you too. Thank you so much for showing up. How's it going, everybody? I love seeing everybody in chat. You know, my chat's on the wrong side. That's why I'm looking off weird. I was gaming this weekend, so I have my chat. There we go. Hey, I can see chat right next to the camera, which is great. So I don't know if you can look it up or if you can ping Vixie on Discord and just ask her how we can give somebody channel points back.
Oh, okay.
How do we refund channel points? Because I know how to give them the
got
currency,
you. Okay,
but I don't know how to do channel points.
We'll
get them next time. Yeah, you know what? TTS, I thought TTS was working and now it's not. So so sorry for that, guys. Anyway, where was I? Oh, I was in the middle of the intro. Yeah, so we have a subclass. We have another subclass submitted by Pokeniner, which they are in the chat today. This is going to be a rogue subclass called the Hustler, or just Hustler. So we're going to see what that's all about. We did find it kind of funny because last week we did the background swindler.
Yes.
So maybe this will be the perfect class background combo.
Exactly. I think that would be kind of sick. That would be kind of sick.
They're called the redeem points. Yeah. The channel points is what we need to figure out. I just don't know how to give someone back channel points. On my end, I accidentally confirmed it instead of rejected it, which would have given me points back.
Rude. That's okay. We'll get you hooked up.
There's got to be a way in the mod menu. I know that there is. Take care of it. All right. So other than that, what do we got for? Let's get into good mode here. What do we got for updates? A little bit of changes in the Discord, by the way. If y'all didn't see that.
Yes. Taking a gander around in there.
Yeah, the Discord has changed just a little bit. Added a new category to help separate some of the channels out there. So we have a new category called Misfit Gamer Studios, mainly just for the overall updates for the Discord, things like that, our FAQs, our announcements area. The channel where you can suggest improvements used to be called suggestions, but improvements, I think, just gives it a better idea of what we're asking for in that channel. And then that's where we're also posting all of the MGS builds and the community stream channels. So that's just kind of the, non-D&D discussions, specific categories, the community streams, which are kind of like, the once a month, and then everything else that's evolved in the Discord. D&D discussions is now much smaller. So all of the channels in there are specifically related to our Monday, Friday stream. So
got you.
Your submissions channels are your topics channels, clips of the live stream, Q&A if we want to do a lightning round, the schedule, and then going live. And then of course the community category, which hasn't really changed much. That's basically just all of the community driven engagement. So all of the chat channels, your questions specifically for me when you guys want those answered in the Discord, and the polls channel for when we want to talk to you guys. And then nothing changed in public spaces. That doesn't really get used much right now, but I'm assuming that will get used over time.
It will grow, indeed.
So yes, everything is good there. That's the biggest update on that one. We're not doing a community stream per se next month because,
for December.
Because December is going to have
a lot already.
Yeah, December is going to be wild for everybody. I feel like I'm just so pale in this light right now, which is so weird. I'm not usually that bright. Yeah, we're not going to do the traditional community stream next month just because it's going to be completely crazy, but I am still planning on a very special stream. I'm hoping that everything will line up for that. If we don't get it done in December, we will do it again, or we'll try again in January. But yeah, it won't be a community stream, but we are still hoping for an additional extra stream for you guys next month. So
that's
stay tuned
right.
for that.
That's right.
Join the Discord. Link is in chat. But join the Discord for those updates. I'm also going to be changing the Discord's onboarding. I really think at this point it's clunky. It no longer really suits the needs or concerns we have. I've been doing more research, and it's like, realistically, the things I was trying to prevent, I don't think are really going to be that much of an issue, especially as moderation is improved in Discord.
Right.
So I think I'm going to get rid of some of those excess steps. I'm going to try and see if I can add in like the username additions, because there should be a way that I can add into during the onboarding for people to update their username. So we can just say, hey, what's the username of your, what's your Twitch or YouTube username, and then that will automatically update their nickname. So that
okay, that would be very cool.
Because again, my biggest reason for doing that, y'all, if you don't know, is I update all of your nicknames with your Twitch names, mainly so we know who we're talking to, because the names always match up. But it's also really important because when I'm in streamer mode, like 100% of the time, I don't see people's usernames. I only see the first letter of their actual Discord username.
Got it.
My streamer mode. So it's really difficult for me to know who I'm talking to if I don't know A, the name I'm used to seeing, and B, I can't see the name.
Especially because we interact with you guys for the most part here in Twitch.
Yeah. If I do interact, I'm also usually on mobile. So if I don't see a name that I recognize, it's really cumbersome for me to click on that, then to back out, then to respond. So yeah. So I'm trying to clean that up because that was number one, was one of the problems that I was trying to solve, is just figured out who is who. And then the other issue was spam prevention. But I think that the moderation tools in Discord built in are good enough.
Okay.
So I think our go here, click this, go here, post name, and then us having to manually do everything. I think all of that is now available in the onboarding process, basically by default.
Okay.
So I've just got to figure out how to set that all up, and then I can junk the previous version.
Okay.
So
cool.
That's going to be something that I'll be working on as well. Won't change anything for you guys, so I don't know why that's really an update. But if you're planning on bringing people in, it won't be as clunky here in the coming months. Other than that, I didn't have any other updates. I think that was it.
Yeah, I think we've been doing pretty good.
How's everyone doing in chat? How was y'all's weekend? Did some gaming this weekend. Played Hitman yesterday for the first time in months.
Very nice. How was it?
Terrible.
Sadness. I saw I think it was Soul put a clip in our clips chat.
Oh, that's right. I actually didn't get to go see that.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I totally
looked like you sniped somebody either in the knee or something, and then just started
what did I
doing
here?
loops.
What was this one? Hang on. Let's figure out what we're looking at here in chat.
Disco.
All right, what happened here yesterday? All right. Made him sick.
I didn't do anything.
I'm just like I'm waiting for him to go throw up somewhere. I don't know where he's gonna go, so I'm waiting to figure out where I need to be.
Where are you going, buddy? You're gonna go all the way upstairs.
That was just me, just literally this whole time waiting because he has to do that whole animation before he decides to walk a direction.
Yeah.
Then I can figure out what bathroom he's gonna go to.
Got you. You're gonna go all the way upstairs. Wild. I love it.
Go all the way upstairs.
I love it.
Thank you so much for posting that. I'm gonna have to put that on TikTok soon.
Hell yeah.
All I think it was that's the first clip made by y'all. That's awesome. First fan-made clip. I think I made a couple by accident. Actually, I need to go check by mistake.
I'm curious, can you like go back and watch a stream and then clip it after the fact?
Yeah, during it. So if you're on the channel, you should be able to be like watching it, and then you can at the bottom you should be able to say like clip that, and it'll give you like a window for that 30 seconds, and then you can just extract that piece. So if you're ever rewatching it, or if you ever remember something and just write down the time, you can always go back and do that.
Clean.
Yeah, it's called highlight. So if you go there and you hit highlight, you should be able to go through and then make a clip, I think.
Okay.
I think I have all of mine available for people, for like anybody to do that. I think anybody can clip. I'm trying to double check. I'm live right now, so I don't really know. Actually, I probably could do it if I went. Can I not reverse? Oh, I guess I can't go backwards on a live stream. Or at least I can't do it on my own. Weird.
Oh, weird.
I don't watch Twitch on Twitch as much. I usually watch most of my Twitch streamers on YouTube.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
But it's because of the time frame that I'm actually watching them. It's usually like late at night, like right before I go to bed. I'll like watch for a little bit. So it's like I'm not really in the zone to actually be like interactive. Anyway. Let's get to today's review. At our newly scheduled time. I hope you guys are enjoying the newly scheduled time. I think it's going to be good for us.
We got quite a few people here. It looks like they're all right with us starting a little early.
Yeah, it looks like it's not too bad. Not too bad for everybody joining in. I think you are going to enjoy it a little bit more, not leaving here at midnight.
I mean, it's not the end of the world, but now that I got to get up earlier, I think
well, now it gets darker and colder a lot quicker.
That is also fair.
That is also very fair out there.
Switch spots. All right.
Right at the beginning. Right. Okay, well, let me get this set up and then we will do switch spots. And then
Alrighty.
Let's see. Oh, wait a second. I gotta double check too. Which one is switch spot should be the 10-minute one, not the
30-minute one.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I'm double checking.
I mean, it didn't seem like it was that expensive. I feel like 30 minutes should cost way more than that.
I'm pretty sure it does. I just gotta double check and then make sure he doesn't know all of my little buttons. Yeah, this one's gonna be for 10 minutes and it's gonna be the start. So you are gonna be responsible for
the introduction.
For the introduction of this subclass. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this?
All right, sir. We'll see what happens.
He doesn't know any of my stuff, so I gotta get it all set up for him. Oh, wait a second. Something's wrong. Hold on. Window capture is wrong.
Oh, that's because you were in the video.
Ah, you're right. I was. Thank you. Good catch.
Yeah. It was
maybe you should just come over here and send it. Like,
listen, I don't know what button to press.
I don't need to set this up for you. I don't even know how you noticed that. But...
There it is.
All right. 10-minute timer is second from the right.
Good to go. Alrighty.
Grab your water if you need
it. Wild. All right. Well, welcome to The Hustler by Pokeniner. Very excited for this subclass. This is a roguish archetype. So we're actually, and I think when we were talking about the background last time as well, did I start the timer already? Do I need to press it?
Yeah,
I do need to press it. All right,
now we're on timer.
Now we're on the timer. I think when we were talking about the background, we were talking about how yes, it could very easily be a rogue background, but it also could be a lot of other things too. It could be like a bard. Yeah, it could be but yeah, it's very versatile. So, but I'm curious to see how well this may or may not work out with that. So let's get into this description. So it says, in the heart of bustling underbellies, a breed of rogue emerge as true masters of the con, the hustlers. Gamblers, street urchins, and even nobles skilled in the art of deception learn to thrive in gray areas, navigating life with silver tongues and quick hands. Countless hours are spent honing their craft at dimly lit gambling dens and crowded markets to give them a keen eye for spotting tells and hidden opportunities. Those who choose the life of a hustler have embraced the exhilarating risks of uncertain rewards of life, where every interaction is a chance to outwit those around them and tilt fate onto their side.
I love that description, by the way.
That's wild.
That was brilliant.
That's wild.
That was so well written.
And I get what you're doing here. When a lot of the times when you go somewhere and you're like, hey, can I find like a thieves guild? This is what you imagine you're walking into when this happens. This kind of like seedy underbellies of a lot of these like dark corner areas, but even extending all the way to potentially what did it say? Nobles could potentially be skilled in this, like in their houses, in their area. Like I almost think of like low-key kind of vibes. So I don't know. Very, very interesting. And I like this classy, suave, like almost Aladdin style artwork. Yeah. It gives you street rat energy. I feel that.
No, I'm digging it. I like it. I don't think that was heard in chat.
What was heard? Oh, there was a wow.
But I heard that one.
I heard that one. Beautiful. All right. So let us look at what we get. So normally I would be over there doing this for you, but I know that we are looking at a rogue. And before we get to level 3 in Rogue, we're gonna get to.
Do you have that pulled up, or do I need to pull it up?
I don't have it pulled up yet. I
got it.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
I know you get your cunning action, and I know you get your sneak attack. I don't know if they're both. I'm pretty sure they're both at first level.
Yeah, so at first level, you're going to get your expertise, your sneak attack, and thieves' cant. At second level, you're going to get your cunning action, which is going to make your dash, your hide, and your disengage. And then at third level, you're going to get your roguish archetype, and then you have the option of steady aim, but I think we're going to ignore that for now.
Yeah. Okay. So for this roguish archetype, you get bonus proficiencies at level 3. When you become a hustler, third level, you're adept at using your hands in numerous ways. You gain proficiency in sleight of hand. If you're already proficient, you gain expertise instead, which means your proficiency bonus is doubled for this ability check. You also gain proficiency in one gaming set of your choice. You have expertise in any gaming set you have proficiency with. Okay.
I want to say I really like this for one specific reason. Too many times have I seen where something gives you a proficiency in a skill, and if you already have it, it just says pick another skill. And I absolutely get so sick and tired of that, because it hurts me, because in second edition I'm so into proficiencies, and so the fact that you can increase a single proficiency to mastery is very important to me. So seeing that in here saying, hey, if you already are proficient, you're expert, I love that, because unfortunately there's too many times where it's like, oh, you already have it, we'll pick something else.
And I truly think that it's only the rogue and the bard get proficiencies or get expertise in anything.
Yeah.
Everybody else, there's really no way. I don't even think there's any feats that can give you expertise,
which is a shame. I think that's
it really is. So I granted this is in a rogue, and rogues already get expertise and stuff like that, but I really do agree with you. Like, I think that is exactly what should happen more often in situations like this. So,
and I'm glad that this isn't going to be the only thing we get at level 3, because if it was, I'd feel like it's a little weak. But I want to see what we get out, what else we get, because
most definitely.
Because if anything else, what I was going to say is because it's like, with your ability with hands, it immediately made me think of acrobatics. So if that was going to be the only level 3 ability, I would have suggested maybe like
include acrobatics
as well.
like that.
But I like that we're going to get something else.
Okay. So at level 3, we have misdirect. You gain the ability to misdirect enemies and position them for a prime opportunity. As a bonus action, you can misdirect attacks that target you. You impose disadvantage on the next attack roll made against you before the start of your next turn. At the start of your next turn, if you haven't used this misdirection, you gain advantage on your next attack roll that turn, as your misdirection provides you a chance to strike more effectively.
So, okay,
Interesting.
so let me break that down, because it sounds like there's two different things going on here. So as a bonus action, you can misdirect an attack. You impose disadvantage on the next attack. So that's doing two things right there. So as a bonus action, I can automatically impose disadvantage. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's not doing two different things. So it's the way that it was written. So as a bonus action, I can give disadvantage on the next attack roll made against me before the start of my next turn as just a choice, which I kind of dig that that's a bonus action, because again, that's kind of getting rid of, like, your cunning action and all of that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's in
It's
favor,
using your action
it's
economy.
an additional cunning action, really. It's like a defensive cunning action.
Yeah.
So then the next one at the start of your next turn. So this is what I don't like about it, is because it's a bonus action to give disadvantage on an attack against you, but otherwise it's a permanent advantage on all attacks.
So the way this reads is, if somebody attacks you, then you don't get advantage on an attack. But if somebody doesn't attack you and you didn't get to use the advantage,
You
used
procced
in your
it, but then
misdirect,
it didn't happen.
you procced it, but it didn't happen. You used your bonus action to do the misdirect, but nobody actually attacked you. Your next attack gets advantage because your misdirect, instead of preventing them from hitting you, was used for you to get an extra advantage.
This
on
reminds me
your
of a
strike.
4th edition ability. I think it was called
Interesting.
like something flourish or whatever.
Oh,
Stylus flourish. It was a rogue ability that gave you basically like a
Interesting.
+2 to hit them. So I get the idea that you, like, this is a very akin to what you say all the time. You don't want to, like, lose it just because you burned it. Like, you don't want to.
Yes.
Like, so
it sucks when it just does nothing.
I get that, because you are burning a bonus action and you want to do something, but I don't know if it's a true balance to give. Like, in this particular case, I know this sounds like a weird analogy, but I don't know if in this particular case, giving both sides of that coin the same weight is the correct way to go about it. Because the whole point of it is to give disadvantage, right? It's supposed to misdirect an attack. But if that doesn't happen, getting the same value out of a failure, in my opinion, doesn't benefit. I would think.
Would you call it a failure or just a lack of use?
Lack of use, right? But to get the same value out of something that it's not intended for, that's the thing, right? It's like doing a sweep strike, but then being able to benefit in a different way because that you didn't catch the person's leg. So I would almost suggest, instead of maybe this is not going to be fair, and chat, let us know. But maybe if you haven't used misdirect, so you procced it to give disadvantage, which is the biggest version. Your backup should be maybe just like a +2 to between a +2 and a +4 to your attack, but not a full advantage. And maybe I don't know how chat feels about that, but it's just one of those. I feel like the intent is to help be defensive, so to have an equal offensive ability,
because this would also give you advantage on your attack, which would proc your sneak attack if it hadn't been procced already.
Yeah. So yeah.
Like this, if you use this misdirect, now I'm curious,
and it is
because
giving
nothing about this says melee attacks, so that means it could be melee or ranged attack.
Yeah, attacks against you. Yeah.
And I'm curious, because, okay.
See, and the other thing too is, like, this is kind of just like, who are you misdirecting to? Because it's kind of a global thing.
That's kind of where I was,
like, you're just magically making
getting.
everyone on the battlefield not be able to hit you ranged. Yeah, so we would definitely have to make this like a melee. If this were a melee only, I think that it would be a little bit better, because it's supposed to it's intended to be like you're next to somebody, right? but I don't know if I could agree that this could apply to range, like you said. And I think our time is up for this.
It is. Yes, indeed.
I saw it pinging. So yeah, I think that's my one current concern is, yeah, you're right. It doesn't say anything about ranged versus melee, so I would like it to, especially this early on, I wouldn't mind a later version or a later level increasing to ranged attacks, like being able to use kind of like a misdirect, kind of almost like a deflect missile.
Interesting.
Kind of like its own version of deflect missile. But yeah, if we made it more against melee attacks that target you, and then if you haven't used it, you gain an advantage on your next attack roll. But yeah, see, I would like this to be the next attack roll against an enemy within a certain feet, because again, how will I misdirect? I can't misdirect someone 30 feet away, right? I feel like this would have to be close quarters combat. So I could see, if we're going to give advantage, impose disadvantage on melee attacks made against you until the start of your next turn. If you didn't use it, get advantage on an attack roll from an enemy within 5 feet of you, or within 10 feet of you even, giving it maybe that little extra range.
See, yes, I struggle because like, I honestly, I like the mechanic itself, but like we were saying a second ago, I'm struggling with the implementation of it, of like how we're trying to call this a misdirect, because I get wanting to help defend yourself and help get yourself protected from being attacked, right? And I especially for a rogue, right? Because they're not the hardiest of creatures, right? They don't have like a big hit point pool, you know, and their AC is not always going to be crazy high. So, you know, this is a very good skill, but when we're talking about misdirect, like I'm almost thinking, especially because we're talking about hustlers, I almost think about like sleight of hand and like making you think I'm touching you on the shoulder while really I'm stealing your watch on your wrist, you know, like that kind of mentality. And I can totally see you engaging in that when it comes to melee combat. But
right.
if
even like this, you know, the misdirection, right? Like, you know, getting advantage on a melee attack because you think I'm going to go one way and then I go another.
Exactly.
So like that's why I'm thinking I can get on board with the advantage if we're locking it down to like melee within a certain range.
Sure.
I can get more behind having advantage on that attack, but having advantage basically on like any attack, I don't know how that pulls equally.
Especially if you're not engaged, who do I get advantage on? Who did I misdirect? If there's 5 people surrounding me on the battlefield and I use this and I can just have advantage on any one of them because I used my misdirect, like it feels weird. Like I'm not targeting somebody. I'm not saying you're the person I'm engaging with. You're the person that I'm misdirecting, right? Otherwise, it just feels like I could be going like this in the middle of the battlefield and say, misdirect, misdirect, and then everybody's hit by it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Because okay, so Pokenator was saying that they posted. The idea is that you aren't focused on defense at that point, and instead use the focus to misdirect their defense. But again, whose defense, right? Like what are we misdirecting? Who we like? This isn't. This is just any attack against me, and that leaves a lot to be questioned, right? So we definitely need some sort of like narrow down identity of the attacking. I don't know if I can justify just any and all attacks as long as they're targeting me. That's a very broad range, especially for a 3rd level.
And I do get like, because I believe Pokenator made the point earlier that it's supposed to be similar to dodge, right? So, but like, so when you take the dodge action, it gives every attack against you disadvantage. And this is just a standard 5th edition ability. Like anybody can do this. It takes your action to do so. Monks can do it as a bonus action because of one of their...
So this is basically like a reactionary dodge.
It's like I'm taking my turn and I am specifically going to avoid anyone that does anything to me.
That's dodge. But this is like a reactionary, using your reaction to dodge almost. Or preemptively. You're
preemptively...
To be able to trigger dodge if you don't... Or if you get attacked. Okay.
Yeah, and it's only on one attack. So dodge is for every attack. This only works on like the first attack.
5e does avoid just random like 5e does tend to avoid number-based time. Like in terms of like feats giving you like a +2 to attack or anything. I guess they really don't do that.
I will say yes, because
good point.
if you depending on how much you stack that, it can get crazy. Like imagine you getting up to a plus 15, and that is a guaranteed minimum 15 to whatever it is that you're rolling. So when it comes to like attack rolls or like rolls to accomplish things like skill checks and stuff like that, I think advantage is like as high as they want to go, which is almost equivalent to a +5. Like there will be some rare circumstances like crossbow expert, for example.
We've seen that too, where when it says advantage, give a plus or negative, right? They've used those terms for if you're going to apply a number, it's usually 5 to advantage or disadvantage.
Right.
That's true. So okay, because we can also break down like the thing, like misdirect could mean one of two things, right? It could mean taking your attention, misdirecting your attention, or it literally could be like, or I guess it could be you could also say redirect. You could imply like it's a redirect. So we're not trying to do a redirect, because that's what I first thought. When I thought misdirect, I was almost thinking like
that's why you mentioned the monk's deflect missile.
And I was almost thinking like how cool would it be to be able to parry and then hit like an ally, like like move the target. That's where my mind started to go. And then I liked the idea of imposing disadvantage. I really do like the idea of you being able to do something against a target that you're engaged with to make them swing the wrong direction. Like that's a perfect ability, right? Like to, again, just feign one way, go the other, and then they swing the wrong way. I totally love that for the disadvantage. I can get behind it, I can visualize it, but it's using that same logic to say, I'm waiting for you, I'm trying to distract you so you don't hit me, and you haven't hit me yet, so the same distraction that's trying to get you to not hit the right target is also going to somehow give me a chance to hit. So
I'll say
there's a small bridge there, but I'm trying to find it.
Where I find that connection is if as a martial artist, if I'm like in your face and I'm gonna if I'm gonna feign one direction, if I'm gonna make you think I'm coming over here, it will potentially knock off your targeting when you're attacking me, but it also throws off your perception of where I am. And that can cause you to leave an opening for me. Okay. And so that is where I can understand, okay, I can get you using that feign to basically distort what your opponent thinks is going on, what they're paying attention to, can potentially put me in a position where they have left an opening for me to accomplish something I might not have been able to otherwise.
So then, with that logic, I think I'm totally fine if we do limit this to melee. If we just simply say that this is a melee attack against you makes perfect sense, right? You're moving about, any melee attack against you, you're just, dealing. I mean, even a ranged melee, right? Even someone who has reach, this could still work for.
Sure, very much so.
I'm totally getting that. I have a harder time believing that this would work for ranged, because you have to be very aware and you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot more going on with ranged. Yeah. And then the turnaround, having advantage on your attack with someone within range, like of your melee, right? Like I would definitely still want it to be limited, not just any next attack on the battlefield.
Sure.
But I wouldn't mind. I mean, I wouldn't even mind giving this maybe 10 feet, because you're kind of moving. You have a little bit of wiggle room.
It feels like it needs to have a target.
So just to basically like whoever's in like 5 foot, like you have to basically be able to attack immediately in order to use.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean. It's not like
engaged with somebody. Like, yes, you basically have to be able to be locked in some sort of combat.
Yes. As long as that's the case, and again, I don't know exactly how I would word that.
I think if we just say melee combat, I think it covers it, because melee combat, even if you're surrounded, you're technically engaged with anybody that you're within melee range of.
Sure.
Because if you think about it,
that is true. Because any of them will have the attack of opportunity against you.
And the thing is, like, you could say, well, their back is to me, but logically speaking, you guys have an entire 5 foot area that you're patrolling. You're constantly looking behind your back. So if you just limit it strategically to melee, both of these work perfectly, and they're both just limited to melee combat, which means that you're not just choosing any target on the battlefield, you'd be choosing just who you could attack right then.
Sure.
And because it says, like, you impose a disadvantage until the start of your next turn. At the start of your next turn, if you haven't used it, you gain advantage on your next attack roll. I mean, you could even just say, as long as it's your first action. Like, you could even just put in there, like, as long as attacking is your first action.
I will say, I would also add the terminology that it's a melee attack, because if I'm not necessarily that it's a melee attack, but it's against somebody that I'm engaged with. So say if I wanted to like throw a dagger at the guy that's 10 feet away from me, because I don't have anything with reach, but he does.
Gotcha. That's technically engaged.
And so like I would say if I'm doing like a ranged attack like that, that's fine. But I would say that I'm not going to be engaged with you and then go shoot a bow and arrow at that guy over there and get advantage.
I know. I absolutely get like that's where there's nuance. That's what. Yeah, it might just have to just be strictly melee combat, and I think it just solves the complications in the questions.
Yeah,
again, I agree with you. It's a great ability. I love the ability. I love the name.
Love what it does.
I feel like because I'm upset that D&D doesn't have more options like parry. Like, I mean, you could just add to your AC and say that that's, you're just good at parrying. But I really like the idea of being able to like, have a feat that allows you like X number of, times per long rest that you can roll like a D6. And if you get a 5 or a 6, you can parry or, give disadvantage. So they have to re-roll the attack against you or something. Or
something like that. Yeah.
Like, I love the idea of giving people this ability to feel more in control of combat. Like it's like when new players ask you like, oh, but can I like dodge out of the way to, like make it harder for them to attack? It's like it's already built into your AC. Like movement is already built into your AC. But that's the thing. Sometimes you just want to be able to say you did something different other than, well, my number is my number. Sometimes you want to be able to fudge that number based on actions. And that's why I dig this, because that's exactly what it's doing. It's like fudging that number of, based on what I'm actually doing in combat, not just because these are the stats that I've been given.
For sure.
So yeah, that would be my only real change is if we lock it down into melee combat, I'm fine with both disadvantage and advantage. I think that was just my holdup is it felt harder to justify how this could apply to a ranged attacker. And then Pokemon did say in chat that this subclass later does encourage melee fighting.
Okay.
So maybe that will also make more sense in the long run.
Yeah. Because I know there's some that are like, hey, this is meant to be a ranged build. And there's some that like the swashbuckler, this is meant to be a melee build. But there's some kind of like the one that we made on our last special stream with the subletting subclasses where you could 100% be a melee or a ranged with that subclass, and so it doesn't really matter. But if this one leans more towards melee, that's not a bad thing at all. And exactly. I think it might even make sense in the end.
Out like we've always talked about, you want to start out giving people like the impression of what's going to happen. So I do like the idea that this is going to start out, if this were to be the alteration and it starts out with melee, then it's going to continue even increasing into melee,
Gotcha.
It's kind of one of those things where exactly what your build is right out the gate. Because it would be kind of weird if early on you could do something with ranged people, but then you slowly get forced into melee. You're like, What about that ranged option? Like, what if I wanted to be, the deflect missile monk, but I'm a rogue, right? So there's a little bit more there that I think that could be done. So yeah, so I like it. I do think that it does make sense. Your explanation of using the misdirect to basically just keep them off your position, but also opening up a position, I absolutely agree with. So
okay,
yeah, I wouldn't change anything other than what types of attacks this affects.
Okay.
And I think just adding just melee anywhere in there really just solved that. All right, so 4th to 9th.
4th to 9th. Let me get back over there.
From 4th to 9th.
All right. So 4th, we're gonna get an ability score improvement. 5th, you're gonna get uncanny dodge, getting to have an attack's damage. 6th, you're gonna get expertise. And then at 7th, you're going to get evasion, where if you fail a dex save, then you only get to take half damage. But if you succeed on a dex save, you take 0 damage. And then at 8th, another ability score improvement. And then finally back to our rogue archetype.
All right. So we get slick hands, which again, I love, because in the description we talked about, and the very first ability was all about, being able to be more dexterous with your hands. So I'm kind of liking that this is also following that. So at 9th level, your skills with your hands are extremely effective at disarming opponents. After you make a melee attack on a creature and your attack hits, you can use your reaction to attempt disarming the creature of a single weapon or item they're holding. I absolutely love that. Disarming is it used to be so
underutilized.
Important in older editions. 1st and 2nd edition had a much more robust disarm mechanic, and then it just kind of got lost. I think it was just kind of an idea that they didn't want to be able to really be had. I mean, they used to, I think there was even a spell that would disarm somebody. So it's like, it kind of sucks that, I know Baldur's Gate brought it back, which is...
Did they really?
Well, Yeah, they or no. Basically, I think no. Baldur's Gate used the command spam that, but
Oh,
command was the new
fair
disarm
enough.
option.
Gotcha.
Just use that. Meteor swarm spells without a cast. Rogue walks out without a scratch.
Wait,
I
what?
wonder how that would work. How would a rogue walk out without a scratch of meteor swarm?
Oh, because if Meteor Swarm requires a dex save to take half damage,
Oh, and then you
succeed, you don't take a scratch.
So you're just basically flipping through all of the explosions.
You're just like,
nah, I'm good.
Dodging all the shrapnel.
Okay, so I love this. I love being able to disarm a creature. So when you make a melee attack on a creature and your attack hits, you can use a reaction to attempt to disarm. I also like that it's not automatic.
Sure.
So I'm already liking that. So you make a sleight of hand skill check, which we already know you're getting a bonus to, which I find is fine, against their strength athletics or dexterity acrobatic skill check. Interesting that you don't indicate which is higher or lower, so you're kind of giving it, I guess, up to DM choice. But it's against their strength or
so
their
I
dex.
will say that's standard for grappling in 5th edition.
Gotcha. So you
Generally,
can choose
the
whichever.
attacker is supposed to use strength, I think, but the defender
that's-
can choose strength or dexterity to
Whichever
try
is
and
their
avoid
greater
it.
one, because it's their it's you're using strength purely, but they're using their best attribute against you. Gotcha.
Right, because it's like if I was going to go up against somebody, they would use their most skilled way to try and get away from me.
Yeah, you can't force them to use
Strength
a
or
certain
dexterity.
type
Yeah,
of
yeah.
skill set. No, that totally makes sense. So your sleight of hand against their strength or dexterity. If you succeed, the creature drops the item or weapon they are holding. You have advantage on this sleight of hand check if the triggering attack also had advantage.
Oh,
That's interesting. So if your
Cool.
attack had advantage, this had disadvantage. I don't mind that, actually. That's kind of a unique add-on.
I do like that.
You usually don't see that kind of, if the trickle on effect. Or
And it's nice because rogues are encouraged to have advantage when doing what they're doing.
right, and especially if you have your expertise in sleight of hand as well.
And this is okay. So, and this is the other cool thing. Your misdirects can help you proc that, because in order for you to do this, you're going to have to be in melee, right?
Oh yeah, so you'd have to
So if I use
advantage,
if I
so
proc my misdirect,
you have expertise with advantage already. Then you're gonna have that. You're guaranteed to have that with.
see, I like this even
So
more.
it's
Seeing
building
that
on itself.
synergy.
It builds upon itself, which is
That's
phenomenal.
cool.
That is one of the best things
I do
we
like
to see in
that.
these. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your dexterity modifier, a minimum of once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
I love that too.
That's fine. No, it's perfect.
I like that it's
against your
not
dexterity modifier.
spammable infinitely, but I like that. I mean, your
This is a
dexterity modifier.
build. This is a dexterity build.
Hell
for
yes.
100%.
And it makes sense that that's, what you're going to use to determine how much you can use of it.
Yeah, no, I really like this. This is really well done. What is until level 13? 10 to 13.
10 to 13. All right. 10th is another ability score improvement. 11th is reliable talent, which basically means you can't roll below a 10 because you're rogue. 12th is another ability score improvement. 13th is your roguish archetype feature.
Now being able to roll under a 10 is so clutch, especially
Yeah.
for this build, because you're doing all of these checks. You'd be like,
Wild.
riding high.
Why?
Especially that sleight of hand check with expertise and advantage.
You're probably going to have at least a plus 11, plus you can't roll under a 10. That means you're going to run a minimum of a 21.
Yeah, no, your sleight of hand's gonna be off the charts with this one. That's crazy. So Street Rat level 13. At level 13, you are accustomed to being your best while on the move and toying with your enemies. When you take the dash action on your turn, you have advantage on all dexterity. You have advantage on all dexterity skill checks and saving throws until the start of your next turn. I'm liking the start of the next turn vibe.
Okay.
Additionally, on that turn, after an enemy misses on an attack roll targeting you, your armor class increases by 1 until your next turn to a maximum of +5. Okay. I kind of see where this is going. I'm going to say at level 13, it's feeling a little lacking. I feel like I know we've talked about this before. We even talked about this yesterday or this weekend on the build, that even like level 13 is okay to kind of be like not a nothing burger, but it's okay to be just kind of like a utility and not a major. But this, like, okay, I get the dash action and advantage on dexterities checks and saving throws. That's perfect. I love that. Like that's really awesome that you on the move, because that's the whole point, is you're just distracting. I love that. but after the target misses you, your AC goes up by 1. At this level, I just don't feel it. I don't really feel like it's cool. It's fine. I don't feel like it's something I'm going to celebrate. It's just more of a, oh, that's nice.
Well, put it this way, having a +5 to your AC is nothing to sneeze at. Like,
no, this is only a +1 to a maximum. So if you
so that means it can stack. That means every single time someone swings at you and misses. But just in general, I'm not, and this kind of goes back to points that you've made in the past, like, I'm not really seeing the visual on how somebody missing an attack on you is increasing your AC.
Right. It's
and this is just a passive ability. This is not associated with the dash action.
I can see that in the sense of like, because you're watching.
Oh wait, no, it is associated with the dash action.
So no, yeah, on that turn. So after you've taken the dash action on that turn, so that's like, I'm guessing opportunity attack. So if you were to run through a bunch of enemies, every opportunity attack that missed would give you a better chance at the next one. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a little bit interesting that that this would affect other enemies. Like, it's like I said, I like the idea that we're thinking that it could increase to 5, but he's saying think Aladdin. So boost AC in the turn, procs more misses. So again, the idea is to have them miss multiple times, so just keep racking.
Yeah.
But it's only until your next turn. So it's so situational to get this, and then I'm only using it until it's my next turn. So I'm only using it one in a round, and then I have to keep trying to do this very specific way to keep it going.
I mean, again, if you're dashing every turn, but again, like for you as a rogue, like either that's your bonus action, or
it's your main action, and then if you get hit, you're gonna be stopped in your tracks, and then you're not gonna have the bonus to your AC.
Because if that does end up being your bonus action, then that means you can't use your misdirect, which is what you're gonna really use to proc everything else.
True.
I would say that while I do like what this is doing, I kind of wish it built on what you had been building on already, right? Because now it makes you kind of like choose between whether I do this.
How do you feel about this one? Because again, 13 doesn't have to be a big capstone, but it doesn't want to be a nothing burger, but you want it to kind of fuel.
Sure.
So what if at 9 you make you can disarm them when you attack them? What if this said that additionally, additionally at level 13, I don't know if we want to keep this with the dash action or not, but what if on an attack that misses you, you can make a sleight of hand check to disarm? So what if at level 13 you can disarm in both contexts? So you can
I would love that.
So how about that instead? So we do the dash action. Just taking the dash is going to give you dexterity bonuses, but aside from the dash action on level 13, missed attacks against you, you can make a sleight of hand check against them, and then you can disarm them after.
I like that. I do like that.
Because again, it's the same situation as level 9, but you have both sides of it covered. You are, again, street rat mentality. You're using their weakness against them. You saw opening, you took it. Because before it was all about the aggressive, now it's about the defense.
And if you did take the dash action, you'll have advantage on that.
And if you get hit during the dash action, then think about this too. If you take the dash action that turn, just on level 13, and it's any time that they miss, imagine being able to say any opportunity attack that mix, you can make a sleight of hand check and be disarming people as you're dashing through the enemies. That would be insane. Can you imagine you dash past 5 enemies, they all miss, and you're just like dink, 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 and then you're just running past and just swords are on the floor, just ready for your team to like come. That would be insane to happen.
Wild. That would be wild.
So I feel like, again, I feel like my only issue with this is just that I like the idea of being able to stack the AC. I just feel like it's quite situational. I don't feel like it's going to be repeatable often enough in the same combat to justify it feeling better than this. I mean, I don't mind it. It definitely works. Like how it's written, it works. I just don't feel like from a player point of view, I'd be super excited about it. And I feel like it would be too much work all the time to remember how to get this. I'd be too focused on doing this for myself and not what I'm doing to win the party, right?
Right.
Because again, like trying to dash and then get these misses just to get my AC to the end of the turn. What am I doing for the actual combat other than focusing on trying to be like, like I'm a tank.
In order for that to really feel valuable, you're gonna have to be very intentional about doing it. You got to line it up. Like even just the spell lightning bolt, like you really have to find where you can line up. Like if you're only lining up 2 people, which is easy enough to do, you're getting 2 people. Right, but fireball is like you get a whole bunch of people. Lightning bolt could get, but it's just the line.
Yeah, so I love the idea. I just feel like it's.
I do get what Pokeniner's saying. Pokeniner says that it kind of feels like there'd be too many disarm mechanics. It would almost feel like it's themed around disarming and stuff like that. And he's kind of trying to play it towards where you're playing the odds. And so like I get that if you're trying to add a little bit of versatility in there. I do agree that I don't know if the AC boost is really gonna be it, because it does feel like you have to try to make that be cool. I mean, instead of like it just something that works.
Yeah, and tying it to the dash action, I also again just feel like you're focusing too much on trying to utilize like again, you're just trying to dash now all the time. And that's not really as useful in a lot of different combats. Now, if we're trying not to do too much disarm, I mean, I thought the disarm was kind of cool. I would mind
I do like it.
Two-way disarm. But if we're not really going for that, again, this is supposed to be like straight rat. It's supposed to be distracting.
Very
I mean, straight rat. What if you wanted to do something where during the, I don't know, again, on the dash action, because you're like running by them. I mean, this could make sense too. What if like on the dash action, instead of disarming, what if you could pickpocket them? Like,
I mean, that still counts as a dexterity check, so you already have advantage on that.
So it's like you could try to do like a, on a miss that is like, I'm just trying to think. I don't think that the armor class is where it's at. I don't think that building up the armor class really drives home the idea that you're being more distracting over time and over misses. I mean, to be completely honest, that sounds more like a bard thing. Like you're making fun of them for every miss. You're basically making it harder for them to hit you, kind of thing. But then that would be only against one target. Like, because again, applying that to another class, like I would say a bard could do this, but it would only be against that one target. For every time that target missed, your AC goes up against that one target. Kind of like you're nagging at them and it's getting into their head kind of thing. So you can get up to a +5 against one target. But I don't even think that would work for this either. Because you know what I mean? Like it's not really trying to aggro someone. You're just trying to constantly be in it's almost like drunk.
I would prefer it if you just got a static +3 instead of every time you missed, it was a +1.
So while you're dashing,
your AC is up by 3. Like that would lightweight have the same effect, but it's not due to like, I don't feel like I have to dance around the battlefield to feel like using this is useful.
I like that. No, I actually really like that because it's very specific to the dash action. It still keeps it focused on you're trying to get your dexterity skill checks. But the +3 hugely benefits you again if you're trying to proc multiple opportunity attacks, or if you just happen to be proccing them.
Yeah,
that +3 is still going to be devastatingly good.
It's not 5, but
still, this 5. How often are you really going to be able to get 5 misses?
Most of the time, you're gonna like using this. You might get a 1 or a 2.
Yeah,
most of the time.
An automatic 3 with no misses required, I think you'll get more misses out of it. And I think that's what Pokenizer was saying, right? Like the idea was.
I kind of see it. They want them to be on their best when they're playing with danger.
But that makes sense. If you're dashing, that is playing with danger. So having a +3 only when you're dashing, because guess what? 9 times out of 10, because here's my logic, Pokenizer. 9 times out of 10, the average rogue is dashing to get away from an enemy. And at best, they're going to sacrifice a 1 opportunity attack, right? They're getting away from the one person they're getting away. If they can't disengage, their dash is typically not around or next to people. So by saying that your dash action gives you a dexterity bonuses or your dexterity skill checks, like advantage on that, but you get a +3 to armor, it's kind of telling you to dash next to enemies. It's kind of like telling you if you're next to an enemy doing this risky move, yes, you're better at life. It literally kind of goes into what you're saying is it's telling you that you need to take that risk in order to benefit from this dash. You need to be near an enemy in order to get that, that +3 AC. Because otherwise, who cares about the +3 AC? If I'm just dashing to dash, no one cares about my +3 AC. It's only really beneficial if I'm pushing that and towing that line and running past enemies and being able to quickly duck out of the way as their swipes are coming after me. So I like that. I think actually that is so much better. If you don't like, I like the disarm, but I get it if this isn't meant to be a disarm and it's meant to be playing with the numbers and playing with risk. I think that solves it. I think a +3 would definitely solve it because you're basically saying that the closer you get to people, the better you are.
The more advantage you're
when you're in the most riskiest of situations, which is dashing.
Yeah.
Most people are very vulnerable when dashing. because that's why you get all those opportunity attacks. So
Yep.
there's definitely a way to play both of those. So that's where so I like Street Rat though. I do like the dash, it being focused on the dash action. It's kind of like what we talked about this weekend, going over the Echo Stalker. By the way, if you guys didn't see that episode, we built the Echo Stalker finally, a sublet and subclass.
Yes. And I've almost got it the write-up complete, so you guys will be able to see that in our MGS builds.
But like we took that and basically made the rogue of rogues is essentially what we came up with, right? Like we finally just we ended up with a subclass that was more rogue than rogue. It really just took all of the, it really took cunning action to the next level.
Yeah,
and really
very much
rogue so. To really just lean in on the things that they do best.
Think about, but that's what we, even at the end, we even said it. It was like, that's what somebody who is a rogue who came across Dunamancy,
right?
Like that's how they would want to make themselves the roguiest rogue there is.
And that's where I'm trying to get my mind in this, right? Where a Street Rat, we're trying to, like distract people. So I'm trying to get my mindset into, if I'm playing the odds, if I'm best when the odds are stacked against me, when I'm the underdog of the odds are, if I'm trying to be gambly, the most gambly thing I can do is run through a pack of enemies, right? Like that would be one of the most riskiest situations a rogue could do.
Mm-hmm.
And then with that being able to, again, I think the +3, I think I'm very comfortable with that. At level 13, that's a huge bump, especially for a rogue, especially for opportunity attacks.
Sure.
I don't mind that. I think a flat +5 might be much, and I think 4 just sounds weird.
It's just especially because I'll say I would not want a +5 because you can do this every turn.
Yeah, you're right, because it's always while you're dashing, and that's cunning action, right?
Like,
this is just building your cunning action.
So like I would not want a static +5 because you can do it every turn, but a +3 I don't think is the end of the world. I don't think it's so advantageous you would just sit there and spam it and use it all the time, but I do think that it would be useful for you when you needed to move
a lot, especially with the way that this is building out to be like not a direct complete fighter, but you want to be in the action, right? You're not trying to stay on the outskirts. You're trying to like dive in and out of combat. So I really like that. I think that could work on. Yeah.
I'm gonna look up proficiency bonus chart just to.
What does that mean? Or for what?
Because
how many times you proc it?
Pokeniner's suggestion is your AC would increase equal to your proficiency bonus instead of a static +3. So it would increase as you increase. But I'm trying to figure out what it would be at level 13.
Oh,
when you get this feature.
Wouldn't it be 4?
It's a 5.
So yeah, you'd get a 5 AC.
You'd start off as a 5. So
what's the max you can get?
6. It would go from 5 to 6. But
yeah, and at that point it really wouldn't. I mean, you're already level 13. I mean, there's no need to have anything that grows with you at this point.
Yeah,
you're not gonna have enough growth for it to matter. So yeah, I know.
Especially AC is not something that like goes up that much throughout your leveling process.
Yeah.
So
I do like it though. I really do think that that focusing this on like the dash action for the rogue and making it making you look at a dangerous situation and coming out on top. I love that idea. Like that's where I'm loving where that we're going for this. Again, very Street Rat, very much of the I'm gonna take risks to survive.
And to be honest, like if you're running through a bunch of enemies, it's likely that those enemies are minion-ish at least.
Yeah, you're probably not gonna be running past like the toughest guys on the battlefield.
Exactly. It's not gonna be like they'll I feel like the +3 will still be helpful even at later levels. Cause like that's really what they do is they throw a bunch of like little minions at you. So
this might be too much. This might be too much. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably going to be too much. But for the level 13, I love dash action, advantage on dexterity, skill checks, and saving throws. I really like +3 AC flat. Would it be too much? Yes, it would. I'm already going to answer my question. To add in a third option or a
third ability
where if you were hit while taking this dash action, you can make a dexterity saving throw to continue dashing. Instead of the normal, you stop in your place. Because that's usually what happens when you dash, right? Don't you usually have to stop? I thought the
only time that happens that I know of is with Sentinel. That's when your speed becomes 0. There's nothing that messes. It's just the fact that you could go down if you're taking the dash. Like if you're running away because you're low health and you're not trying to, and you get an attack of opportunity, you could go down. And so like that's usually what the danger is. But
okay, so that's Sentinel that specifically brings you down.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I definitely think you should still be able to keep running.
Gotcha. Okay, so interesting. So yeah, that probably wouldn't work. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think the +3 is fine. I think that is all around starting at that level and then just continuing from there. I mean, you know, who doesn't want the +3 to your AC at that point? You know,
sure.
I don't think. And what would be your AC by that point, depending on what armor you're having already?
So if you're a rogue and you got a +5 to your dexterity because you have a 20 in dexterity, probably, and you're wearing just regular leather armor, you're gonna have a 16 AC static because you'll have 5 + 11. Right. So then you get a +3, so then you have a 19.
That's not terrible.
That's a great AC,
especially for a rogue running through people. I don't think that's that.
If you have studded,
I wouldn't have my nose up that.
If you're gonna have studded leather armor, which is ideal,
as a 13th rogue, yeah, you're definitely gonna want the highest level.
Then that'll be 12 + 5. So that'll be 17, and so then it gets you up to 20.
And by that point, he's even right, enchanted, so you can even add a +1 to that.
Sure.
So yeah, you're at least 20 AC plus while you're dashing. I wouldn't turn my nose up at that at level 13.
100%.
I mean, I know 5 AC overall would be better. I just feel like the act to get there deters from the true benefit, which is just saying that while you're dashing, you're just better.
Yeah.
Right. Again, it's more of the I'm definitely starting to learn this as the more we do homebrew, the more we do our weekend streams, our community streams, you know, like building out like the subclasses and the pop culture builds. I'm learning the value that I've seen in the books where it's like sometimes less is more, right? Like that true value of when you're looking at how to break something down. I like the idea of less is more because again, then you can let the people kind of discuss raw versus rye, you know, intent versus written. But yeah, I think just making it less complicated and just giving you a flat, I think is the way to go, personally. All right, moving on. Between 14 and 17.
14 and 17. All right. Blind Sense at level 14, which allows you to detect invisible creatures within 10 feet of you. Slippery Mind at level 15, which let me look. Your proficiency in Wisdom saving throws, which is wonderful. And then you get a ability score improvement at 16.
Yes, ability score improvements.
They almost get as many as fighters, like not quite, but almost. Like it's wild.
All right, so at level 17 we get Stacked Deck. At 17th level, you've learned to play the game of life at your best, capitalizing on chances that fate grants you. Man, I almost wish that read different. Like, play the game at your best, capitalize on chances that fate grants you. I mean, if it's a stacked deck, I kind of wish that you learn to put the odds in your favor. Like, I kind of wish it was like more. It feels more like we're gonna get more into like the gambly aspect, but I almost wanted this to be more like a cheating aspect. Like, you're almost getting the ability to.
I mean, they are a hustler. Like, I mean, like I feel like they're.
I'm just saying, like when I read this, I'm like, capitalize on chance that fate gives you versus like having an ace up your sleeve kind of thing. Like that's more for stacked deck.
Fair enough.
So as a reaction, before you make an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw with advantage, you can treat any d20 roll of 15 or lower as a 16 for that roll. You can use this feature up to 3 times. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So why wouldn't this read like other spells where it just says if you fail, you can choose to succeed instead? And it's also kind of feels weird because it says or saving throw with advantage. So wouldn't this be with disadvantage? Like, why would you give? You're basically saying you already have advantage, so you're just going to guarantee get it no matter what, right? So the roll has to have advantage, but then this is going to make a failure automatically happen. So it's basically just saying if you have advantage, just you automatically get it. It's. Am I reading that?
So right? It says before you make an attack roll.
Yeah, so it's like saying like I want this to hit guaranteed, so I have advantage, but I'm just going to make sure that if I don't get it, I'm going to get it.
See,
does that make sense? Am I reading that right? Because it says, you know, before making an attack ability or saving with advantage, right? So I already know I'm going to roll twice. Then I go, hey, if I have advantage on this roll and I want to make sure I'm getting it, I'm just going to do this so my roll is going to be a guaranteed 16. And then I'm rolling twice for anything higher than a 16.
Especially because it's a reaction. And I know this is something that you don't like, but especially because it's a reaction, I would say that you could proc this after you roll.
Yeah. Okay, I can say that. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm just confused on like...
Because I don't feel like... Because imagine you get a natural 20 on your advantage. You're going to not care about proccing this. Right?
Yeah.
Like having this is going to be absolutely pointless.
And I don't really know how this is capitalizing on Fate's chance when it's like, I mean, I guess it's stacking the deck because you're doing it ahead of time. So you don't know. You know what I mean? But that's like the ace up the sleeve.
Right, but you only, if you have pocket aces, you don't need to pull an ace out of your sleeve because you already got the aces.
Right, so it should change the outcome, not set up the outcome.
Right.
Almost like that. I mean, I guess, but that stack deck is trying to set the outcome up. But it's also very convoluted because it's only with rolls with advantage. It's like, I almost want this to be with rolls that don't have advantage or that rolls that I have disadvantage on. Like, it's basically making sure that I won't fail.
Yeah.
But this is only helping it when I'm already having the best of my chances. But, and I know that says like, you know, you've learned to play the game of your life at best. But at the same time, we were just talking about how the abilities are making you play at your worst. Right, like the dash one, the one we just talked about, was only getting the best chances at your worst. So it's like, wouldn't this trigger when you have disadvantage?
I mean, he was talking about making sure that it's wanting you to do risky things, you know.
Yeah.
But I will say, a lot of the times you're not going to have a lot of disadvantage. So like not having a lot of opportunities to use this.
That's 100% fair.
I get that. And so like,
I see what he's saying in checks. He's like, you know, you can still crit, but then I kind of feel like, again, you're basically saying if I have advantage, I'm basically critting or I'm hitting, right? It's like, it's basically saying advantage is a guaranteed hit or a crit. That's all you're saying. And I don't know if that's really like, I don't know if that really feels good, to be honest. Like just walk around and be like, I have advantage on everything. Because again, you automatically have advantage with sleight of hand on every attack. So every attack is now a hit or a crit. Every attack, hit or crit. Because it's an attack roll that has advantage. And all my attacks have advantage because of my misdirect, right? So it's like, at this point...
As long as nobody attacks you, but yeah.
So it's like, I already wasn't able to roll under a 10. Now it's saying I can't roll under a 16, period. I'm never going to roll under a 16. So I'm hitting everything 90% of the time.
I mean, you can use it 3 times. So.
Oh, okay. So yeah, true. It is 3 times.
So like, I definitely like that. It's not an infinite resource.
I like what you were saying about making it not before, just as a reaction, you can change any of these rolls. Like,
yeah,
I don't mind that. I don't mind triggering it after you know the ability, because that just feels, I always like that. I always like the idea of not burning the reaction beforehand, because like, again, as a player, if I have advantage, how often am I really going to be like, this is the one that needs to happen, right?
Because
it's already advantage.
Honestly, if it's a reaction, the question is, what are you reacting to? And from my perspective, it would be before the roll of a 15 or lower. That's what I'm reacting to.
Gotcha. I see what you mean there too. Yeah. How do you react before the idea?
I'm honestly wondering if it would be too much just saying you get. See, I know this is too much before I'm saying it, but kind of like you were saying earlier, but imagine if this just read as a reaction after you make an attack roll with advantage, if your attack's still not, you could use one of these to basically make it a crit, to make it a natural 20 for specifically an attack roll or an ability check, theoretically, or a saving throw, like whatever. Like, you can use this to, you can call it just like a guaranteed success, but like specifically being able to like crit. Like, I feel like that goes along with the vibe of a stacked deck, right? It's like, I'm gonna make sure like I get like the best hit in possible.
I mean, honestly, it's like, it feels like what we're trying to do is give a player a legendary reaction. That's kind of how this reads almost, like, right? It's
lightweight.
It's basically, as a reaction, I wouldn't mind if it just read as a reaction when you made an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw with advantage, you can turn a failure into a success. Just whenever you roll these with advantage, you can turn a failure into a success. Meaning if you failed twice, you didn't fail. Three times for a long rest. So that basically just says you have advantage on everything already. 3 times a day, you're gonna guaranteed hit. I like that better because you're still getting your rolls.
Yeah.
But you have to react to the fact that you failed twice.
Yeah.
So it's not doing anything. It's just you roll advantage, and if both of them fail, you did actually hit.
I like that. It's very simple. It's very direct,
simple,
and it makes
it gives it exactly what you want. You're burning your reaction because you may not want to burn the reaction, but at the same time, it's kind of like basically saying that. Because rolling with advantage on any of these, right? Like just basically meaning that at 3 times you're just
talking
infallible.
about this yesterday too.
You know what I mean? It's almost like your luck is infallible 3 times a day.
He just said I didn't want to do auto success because that's basically the rogue's 20th level capstone.
Oh, is it? What is the?
We were talking about this.
I literally, we just read it the other day.
Yeah, the uncanny knack for succeeding. If an attack misses a target within range, you can turn a miss into a hit.
Okay, so that's attack. So why not this one just apply to ability and saving throws? So all you're doing is preemptively getting the capstone, but on ability and saving throws, and then the capstone gives you the attack rolls. So that's one way. I'm not saying that that's great. I'm not saying that that's a better version, but I think it's better than just this, but I do think it may not be the perfect version.
Oh, I will say Stroke of Luck also gives it to you on ability checks too, because it's alternatively, if you fail an ability check, you can treat a d20 roll as a roll of 20. And also, I will say the Stroke of Luck specifically.
Oh, I got it. No, I got it. Wait a second. Just make sure this is balanced. Hold on. Sleight of hand. And then you get to misdirect, which gives disadvantage on an attack against you. If you use your bonus action, but then at the start of your next turn, you have advantage. So
improved reliable talent. Interesting.
So what if, hear me out here, as a reaction, no, I don't know if this is enough. As a reaction, if you are the target of an attack, or I don't know the exact verbiage yet, but basically if you're the target with advantage, you can give them disadvantage instead.
So if your target has advantage on you, you can change it to disadvantage.
How about that for stacking the deck? Because realistically, the only time you give them disadvantage is if you used misdirect as a bonus action. But imagine that someone's coming after you like the BBG and they have advantage on you, and you just go, I stack the deck 3 times a day. No, you have disadvantage now. You've literally, because again, you stack the deck. You're like, hey, show your hands. You put it all on the cards. You call my bluff, and I have the royal flush today. You thought you had a full house, and when you put your cards down, 2 of the cards are no longer the right suit.
Interesting. I kind of like that.
How does that sound, guys? Like, Pokenighter, let me know how you honestly feel about that. What would you feel okay if you basically
disable advantage? What does that mean?
So that doesn't work in first level. You can't take advantage. Wait, what? What do you mean? So they can't take it. They can't have advantage on them.
I do remember, wasn't there something?
Or is it 18th level? He's saying 18th level.
18th level, elusive.
Oh, elusive gives you no advantage on them.
Oh, that's right. We did see that when we were just talking about this yesterday too.
I don't memorize things like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I also streamed yesterday, so I'm all over the place. Okay.
Yeah, no attack roll have advantage you while you aren't incapacitated.
Oh, okay. So, well, that's probably why I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, it is a good idea. That's why.
Okay. Because I like this idea of stacking the deck, but it's just one of those, like, I don't know if, I don't know, just auto succeeding on the advantage, I think is fine.
So
how about this then? Stacked deck as a reaction. you can change any failed dice roll into a success 3 times a day.
How about
Like, what about, because again, you don't get a crit, but just at that point you get to say any dice roll. And like, because at that point that could be a lot of things. You can kind of just say you stacked the deck entirely. So any dice roll that was a failure is just, you just change it to a success.
Without
3 times a day,
serious magic, that could get out of hand.
Okay.
Because if it's any and there's like no limit to it,
then failure into a success. No,
then I could do it to if one of my allies either fails or succeeds something.
Yeah, but that is still the capstone. No, I keep forgetting that's the 20th level capstone, is turn a failure into a success.
I like the idea of maybe just doing the opposite, saying like, hey, when somebody, the next time, like whenever your would be hit, or you could even do something like you could cancel a crit, or you could turn a successful hit into a miss. Instead of saying I turn a failure into a success, I turn a success into a failure.
Oh yeah,
right.
No, yeah, that would be more the defensive. Like if you could turn, I do like the idea of like, yeah, turning any successful attack against you into a failure.
I know grave clerics have at a fairly low level the ability to just cancel crits within a certain range of themselves. Now again, that's like magic, but like imagine anytime again crits against you, I wouldn't want it to only proc on that, because that doesn't happen necessarily crazy often. Like I don't know how often in a session I'm gonna get crit on, but specifically just saying a successful attack roll on me will fail instead of succeed, right? Like I don't doing that 3 times a day, you know, with this exact same situation.
Yeah. Spoken are saying like, yeah, it's supposed to be like playing with the odds, but yeah, I'm not feeling it with this particular one for myself. Yeah, this one's difficult because it's like we already get 2 really good like additional capstones after this from regular rogue, so it's like when we're thinking about the idea of playing with advantage, right? Because that's what Pokemon is saying, is like the idea that we're trying to turn advantage attempts, but you're already doing so much advantage. Like you have all of the advantage. I really think what this needs to do is I think what you were on the right path. I think what this needs to do is take away. I think the stacking the deck now needs to be back to defensive, because we kind of gone back and forth with a little bit of defense, a little offense.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one needs to be the defensive side, right? I feel like taking away, like again, they already can't have advantage against you. You already basically always have advantage. So it's like taking away the crits would be nice, but that's not by itself. It's not
sure,
right? So it's like that would be fine if that was also on here on level 17. Is, you know, you can turn a crit, as a reaction, you can turn a crit into a miss against you.
Sure.
I don't mind that if that was one thing. Just one of the level 17s is, as a reaction, you can turn a crit against you into a miss. I don't mind that.
I mean, maybe you could just say, well, it would be the same thing we were talking about, a hit against you to a miss, including a crit.
Right. Or downgrade. You can downgrade a crit into a hit and a hit
to a regular hit.
Miss. That would be kind of playing with the odds a little bit, but not quite. Yeah, I don't know. I'm also just trying to articulate, like, why do I have a problem with the way that it's written? Because it's just like, it's basically just saying that if I have an advantage, I can't roll less than a set 16. And it's like, I know that that's not a guaranteed success at all times.
Earlier, he articulated that it's supposed to be a like improved reliable talent. So reliable talent says you can treat any roll of a 9 or lower as if it were a 10. Right. This is saying you can treat any roll of a 15 or lower as a 16. Yeah,
right.
And so it's like
that from 10 to 16.
I get that. I would say you can use one of these charges to see when it's associated with advantage. I mean, granted, you're gonna have advantage a lot, so you're gonna have the ability to use this a lot. But I feel like when you have advantage is when you need it the least.
And that's what I'm feeling, right? Like I feel like if we're stacking the deck to our favor, I don't know how impactful this really feels, truthfully. Like advantage already feels very impactful.
I would even just say you could directly improve your reliability. I would say you could basically, no, that still doesn't feel like it's enough. I'd just say directly improving reliable talent by using one of these charges, right? So basically saying your reliable talent now works on a 15 and 16 instead of a 9 and a 10 whenever you use one of these charges. But that doesn't feel like enough for the capstone, especially if you only get 3 of these. Like, I would want it to do more than that.
Yeah.
I would say if it did that and I could use a charge to turn a crit against me into a regular hit, maybe that might be enough.
But again, at level 7,
how are you?
It's like, how often are you getting crit against that this is going to be that?
Which is why those are the other ways you could use it.
Yeah.
So like if you never get crit against, then you can use it these other ways, but then you could always save one just in case you do get crit against, right? Like something like that, giving you that ability. But
I think it's my lack of, like, I'm trying to think of, like going with the increased version of the previous ability, right? Going from 10 to 16. I'm trying to think logically about the types of checks that you would be making, and again, how drastic or unimpressive is guaranteeing a 16 versus a 10, right? Like, how much of that is going to basically make most rolls succeed, and how often will it still make it difficult?
I will say in higher level gameplays, like, you're having to roll a 25 pretty often to do things. And so having something like this, you would be able to succeed. Now, granted, even if you had this, you're not guaranteed to hit a DC of 30, which you could run into at level 6.
You're only getting a baseline of the 16, then plus all your mods.
Correct.
You're just trying to increase the baseline that you have.
Exactly. So, like, I get that. Maybe if this said your reliable talent increases to this for dexterity based checks, period.
Read me reliable talent one more time.
Yes. So reliable talent, I was just looking at it. Where'd you go? There you go. At 11th level, you have refined your chosen skills until they approach perfection. Whenever you make an ability check that adds your proficiency bonus, you can treat a roll of a 9 or lower as a 10. So that only works for ability checks.
Gotcha. So this is not only expanding that to 16, but then giving it to saving throws and attack rolls.
Yes.
Gotcha.
3 times.
And that one is just any time, right? Just any roll?
That's period, yes.
Period. What if we got rid of just the advantage part? And just literally made this an increased version of that ability, but without needing advantage on the check. Because you're always going to have, advantage a lot anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what if that was just 3 times a day? You can just turn any attack ability or saving throw minimum 16. And it doesn't have to have advantage. Just automatically makes any one of those 3 times a day.
I feel like I would still want more.
Because I feel like I think my holdup is needing the advantage. I feel like it gets into that stage where it feels like that's getting in the way of it making it a really substantial, because you're already getting advantage, so it's just like, why even bother making that another like barrier? Just let me be better at being able to do these rolls 3 times a day.
I think it would be cool if this ability increased your reliable talent on permanently without having to use any charges.
So no reaction necessary?
No anything necessary. It's just built in specifically on dexterity based skills.
Oh, I see.
Only on acrobatics Only on acrobatics.
So this would read, so starting at level 17, any dexterity based ability, attack rolls or saving throws are now treated as a 16.
Not attack rolls and saving throws. I'm thinking those should cost charges, but I think that your abilities should be permanent.
Oh, gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Like that.
So all dexterity based ability checks.
You now can't roll lower than a 15.
Right. And 3 times a day you can turn any saving throw or attack roll
into
a minimum of a 16.
Yes.
Be very difficult to word it properly.
Yes. But that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think my holdup is really just I think adding advantage to this it's almost kind of like the exact opposite of a double negative. It's like you're already getting the benefit, and then it's like only when you're getting the benefit do you get another benefit. It's like just give me the second benefit. Like just give me it as additional benefit. Don't make them reliant on each other.
Don't put it behind like a paywall kind of.
I think that's my only holdup because I keep rereading this and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with increasing that ability. There's nothing wrong with going from 10 to 16. It's just I'm just every time I read it, I'm just like I just get held up on the fact that it requires the advantage, which I'm already going to have, so it just feels like it's redundant. That's the word I was looking for. It's redundant.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think it should be required. The whole stacking the deck is basically just alternate. So I kind of agree. Either just remove advantage and just allow all attack ability checks or saving throws to never go under 16 3 times, or do what Kage said and then just permanently increase, what's it called? Reliable talent. Permanently increase reliable talent to 16 because it's just for ability checks.
Yeah.
And I don't even care just for ability checks. I wouldn't even care. You could say dexterity based ability checks or regular ability checks, but it permanently increases that to 16. And then 3 times per day, you get the attack and saving throw adjustment. Right. Mm-hmm. And we can even say instead of those being a minimum of a 16, you can just say that, reliable talent goes to 16 for ability checks, and 3 times per day you can turn an attack roll or a saving throw from a failure to a success. Well, no, that's not the capstone, but I guess either way, because I don't necessarily. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I don't know if I care that it's with attack and saving throws. I don't think I care as much as you do. I wouldn't mind it just being that
that feels like, okay, I'm on the battlefield and my attacks can't roll lower than a 6.
But only for 3 times per day. I still like the counter. I still like I don't want those to be permanent. So right. I wouldn't mind it just being the 3 times per day on any attack regardless of advantage. I feel like that is okay, but
yes,
I see where you're saying is you want the abilities to be permanent and then the other ones to be on a counter. I'm starting to feel like that might just start to make the language harder.
And I agree, it does make the language harder, but making the ability checks be a part of the cost feels like I want that for my attacks and my saving throws because those are what's going to hurt me the most. But not having it for the ability checks, just like if we just excluded the ability checks,
right?
If we just excluded the ability checks and just said this was good for attack rolls and saving throws, I think that would be great.
But then just add in
including the ability checks means
that
I have to now use this feature to increase my ability checks. It means it's going to cost me to use, and so.
I guess for me, the idea for me would be that ability checks are more of what you would do outside of combat. So it's not really worried that you're burning,
but it's for a long rest. So that means
a long rest.
That means I got to go to sleep before I'm getting these back again. I got to wait for the next day.
Yeah. So I guess it would be simpler to just split it up. So starting at level 17, reliable talent increases from 10 to 16.
Okay.
And then we just say that. Just reliable talent, 10 to 16. Because I think reliable talent is just a good coverall.
Sure.
And then as a reaction, I don't even think before. I just think as a reaction, when you make an attack or saving throw, you can treat any 15 or lower as a 16. 3 times a day.
Yeah.
I think because I do like the idea of being able to alter it. I just think that before the attack roll, I think you're right. I think that kind of diminishes the whole point of it being a reaction. So I think just make it to where use it when you know you want to. Like don't burn it back, because also the other thing too here is if you burn it and then don't need it, it goes back to a problem from before. What happens if I burn this as a reaction and then I roll my advantage in there and I get a nat 20? I burned it for no reason.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I'm not going to use my reaction otherwise, but why would I have used it in the first place? So I kind of like the idea that it could be done. Because again, stacked deck is just kind of like playing with the odds. You're fudging the numbers at the end of it. So I don't mind that. And I think it could be easily split that way, where reliable talent is just increased to 16 as just a solid base. And then, attack and saving throws are kind of yours to alter at this level, because you're already going to, get rid of the no misses. Like, with your next two capstones, no one's critting against you, or at least getting an advantage. And then no one's really, you're not going to be missing at all either. So,
yeah.
So I think that might be the cleanest way to do it. I'm still not 100% happy, but this one's
it's hard
for a loop, because this is a very unique build, because it's very roguish, in terms of, it's not like magical. It's not really, it's just pulling out a different style of usage with the same abilities.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting, because we're not at the capstone, but I think we're both on the same page where this doesn't feel bad, but there's just something missing.
I definitely get what it's trying to do, and I'm behind what it's trying to do. It's just, how do I get it to feel like it's the, I don't know how to put it other than it's giving energy. It's like, it feels like just, I want a little bit more before I can really feel like it's doing what I feel like it's supposed to be doing.
Especially because we have to treat this as the subclasses capstone. Like, it may not be the full classes capstone, but this has to be the final representation of everything that you do, right? All of the manipulation, all of the, gambling that you do, all of the living on the edge. Like, I really like the idea that this is really going to hone in on that.
Okay.
So, I do think that a permanent increase to reliable talent would make it feel a lot better. And then giving you the charges specifically for attack rolls and saving throws, I think you're right. I think not worrying about ability checks as part of the burn and turn, and that only being the combat focused one, and then the ability checks are just permanent, just to be used whenever.
Yeah.
I think that would make the balance a little bit more, and it would feel like it rounds out the whole class a little bit better. Because otherwise, again, we're not really doing anything with like magic or actual manipulation of reality. We're playing the odds to our favor.
Mm-hmm.
And
feels like what was that one X-Men's name? The Domino? The one who's like really,
but it's always
it lightweight feels like not fully, but
yeah. Well, and again, stack deck, I do like the idea that you're trying to get ahead of it, right? You're trying to get ahead of the failures, but again, I don't want something that I feel like I could burn and then not have needed, right?
Yeah,
you would burn up an entire usage before a long rest and you didn't need to. So
exactly.
At bare minimum, I'd at least want to be able to make my reaction truly reacting to the failure.
Yeah.
And then so if we were to go just bare minimum alterations, I would say remove the before you make an attack roll and remove the need for advantage, and that would be the bare minimum I would change. If we were going to go with as written, the bare minimum, those are the two things that I personally would suggest. Beyond that, I would agree with Kage. Allow the ability checks to just be permanent, just increase reliable talent to a 16.
Mm-hmm.
And
spend the resources on,
and then spend the resources on attack and save it. So those would be my two. I think those are the two things that we would both suggest, because I don't mind it as is. I really don't. I think it just, the two things that really get to me are before the attack roll and advantage. Those are the only two things that I personally would need changed to feel a lot better about it. But I think it could use more, and therefore Kage's idea, I think, is the next step up from that.
For sure.
I think they could still be better. I think we could still do better at coming up with one, but in the moment, I think those are two solid answers that are potentials. And again, that's just our interpretation of how we would play this class or run this class. So,
but I love especially everything that's been going on with this class as we started. Like the first 2-3 abilities that we get and the synergy that come with them are phenomenal. How you can like use them in tandem with each other.
And it's not shoehorning me into doing that, but it's giving me a roadmap of how this character is supposed to unfold as I go.
Exactly. Really and there's lots of cool ways you can use it in and out of combat.
Or the feats. I mean, forget the ASIs. If you already have a decent dex when you rolled out, think about all the feats that you'd have to intermingle with this.
Yes, you could do some dirty stuff. Very dirty stuff. So I'm here for it.
Oh, Hecate had a question on level 13. So
Yeah, he wanted to know what the AC boost was about, and I think Pokeniner was giving him a little bit of a. Basically, it was like whenever you're dashing and somebody misses an attack against you, your AC increases by 1, and that's kind of what Pokeniner was saying.
You could just keep getting hit or
Yes.
keep getting swung at, and you would just get better and better.
And Pokeniner's mentality is like, yeah, it's your blood pumping and your adrenaline going, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just missed another one. You know,
mean, Hecate? Hecate says, wouldn't that happen naturally in combat? Like if someone misses you, your AC doesn't go up if someone misses you.
Yeah, no, there's nothing that I know of that increases your AC when someone misses you.
And this is only for that one turn, right? So it's only while you're dashing.
Yeah.
If you have up to 5 people attack you and all miss, that 6th person would be up against +5.
Correct.
Of your AC, but that's 6 people that has to attack you for you to actually get the benefit.
Yeah.
Or 3 people with multi-attack. That
Sure.
somehow all got their multi-attack off while you were dashing.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you don't have to be, because theoretically, we talked about yesterday, when you're dashing, that's taking the entire time. So you're theoretically running the whole time, but in combat, so like say if on my turn I take a dash and nobody attacks me.
Yep.
But other people come up to me or somebody shoots an arrow at me and they miss, my AC would go up by 1. The next person that shoots an arrow at me and misses, even though I finished my dash
until the start of your next turn.
Correct. So like it theoretically could, proc a whole lot, but still
it seems like it seemed to me when I read it that it's intended for
specifically while you're running
opportunity attacks. Like that's what it seems like it was intended for.
Now it does say on that turn.
Oh, he was talking about the blood pumping part. Yes, that would probably already happen.
Yes, 100%. But specifically a street rat, they would enjoy it and it would help them. Yeah. I think that's the difference. Is like, yes, the blood pumping would definitely already happen, but for these street rats, that's why they're getting the boost. Mm-hmm. They're getting the boost because it actually helps them.
Right, they're like getting in the zone.
You're like
the closer to death they are, the more they're like getting it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like this build. I love how it reads. I'm really happy with the description. Like this description is just very, very nice. Gave me a very clear view of what we were going to be dealing with, and gave me some good idea for the lore. Most of the spells, or most of the feats, I think are fine. There was a couple of things that we had suggested, but I think, like, again, I think
little things,
up until level 9, I think most of those are perfect.
Yeah,
because the gaining proficiency on sleight of hand, getting expertise, I love.
I think for misdirect, we just talked about making sure it was melee attacks and not just any attack.
That was it. I think for misdirect, it was just changing the verbiage to where as a bonus action you can misdirect melee attacks that target you at the start of your next turn. If you haven't used this misdirection, you gain advantage on your next attack roll, and I would put in if it's your first action. Just or you could say if you haven't used misdirection, you gain advantage on an enemy or a target within melee range. You could just say that. So just say if you haven't used misdirection, you gain advantage on an attack roll against an enemy within melee range. And so just to kind of like clear that up. But otherwise, misdirect was great. Slick hands. This one was disarming. Fucking loved this one.
No
changes.
Yeah.
I don't think we had any changes to this one. Equal to your dexterity modifier. It's your sleight of hand versus their strength or dex. No changes whatsoever. Straight rat was the only one where I maybe suggested that you could also use this to also have an opportunity to disarm, like gain the ability to if they
on a miss.
Yeah, because you were the previous disarm was on your attacking. I also suggested potentially doing one on when they miss you.
Yeah,
but that seemed like a little bit too away from the idea that we wanted. But street rat, I think for that one. I
think we said was change the AC.
Static plus 3 AC would have been fine. And then stack deck, we took a while to kind of figure out what we felt would be an idea that we would like. But all of these, again, minor little things that we would change, but most of these are well balanced. They make sense. They don't, they're not really imbalanced. Like again, street rat, the only reason why we did the +3 is this just feels too situational to get the full benefit. Sure. +3, I would feel like I benefited from a +3 more often than I would trying to get to a +5. That's all I feel for that one.
Agreed.
Slick hands, I'm using the fuck out of that.
Hell yeah.
I'm using the crap out of this. This is my favorite feat right here.
Especially in combination with the misdirect. That's why I freaking love it, man.
Getting an advantage every single time. And your proficiency and expertise and sleight of hand. Like this and it
encourages you to be in melee combat. And it's like
this progression right here between these three is exactly what we love about thinking about homebrew is when you can pull all that together and you can feel that synergistic build throughout the subclass. That's what makes you feel really good. So I like this. You can't direct a giant fireball in your face.
What are you talking about? I'm just gonna whoosh it over there.
I mean, just imagine, just deflect missile of that. Oh my god, can you imagine? Oh, I gotta make this now. The immortal version of that would be deflect magic missile.
Wild.
Can you imagine? Or just making a capstone, a monk that can do that. At their capstone, they can use deflect missile against magic missile or other magical missile type attacks. Like firebolt. Being able to literally
take magic, return magic attack.
But they would have to fall under like the arrow. So it's like this things that say like firebolt or like lightning bolt could be thrown back, but not like fireball.
For sure.
But it would be really interesting if oh my god, think about the other capstone. Like, so think about a monk that could do this where their capstone is like they could throw bolt like magic back using deflect missiles or missile magic they can deflect. And then increase normal missiles to include things like javelins. So you can deflect missile on a javelin or larger like thrown weapons. Like basically increase deflect missiles to any ranged weapon and magical missiles.
Goodness, what
that
about
would be a huge capstone, like a level 20 capstone for a subclass monk?
What would you say about like a cannonball? Is that too much? That's theoretically a missile.
That's a bullet. That's not a missile. I wouldn't say a bullet counts as a missile, but yeah. But anyway, so Pokeniner, this is awesome. Thank you so much. This was so well written. I know it sounds like we argued a lot on the 13 and 17, but again, personal preference. But otherwise, this was awesome. I really liked the idea that you had in here. Couple little tweaks I would change out. Let's see. I love this for 5th edition. I'm really trying to figure out, does this really alter what High Point can do, or is this just more of something that you can already get in High Point with the way that you can build out? I'm really trying to figure out how much would this really like if I took this in, would High Point really grow, or would this just be
another way to do a thing that can already be done? Yeah,
that's the hardest part that I have to decide. Does it really like add? Because I do like it. I will say I'm not sure it really inspires. Like if I could use it, I could use it, but I'm not really sure if it quite gets me to realize, oh, I haven't done this, or I haven't thought of something in this way yet.
Yeah.
So I'm really tinkering on, is this just a really good rogue write-up, or does this really do something different?
You have inspiration points. If I were rating things, I would 100% give synergy points.
I see that.
Synergy points are huge for me, and this would get a synergy point. To be honest, our Echo Stalker would get a synergy point. What did
I give our Echo Stalker? Did I give that a 7 or an 8?
You said you gave it a 7, but it would have gotten inspiration if you weren't already.
If I wasn't the one who bailed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't give yourself inspiration because
true.
You're already doing the thing. But
that's fair. Okay, so I think that this deserves. I think because there's enough tweaks to enough of these, just because there were like small little things that we would have to make, I do have to take that into account. So I think a solid 7 out of 10. I think that with some minor tweaks, this would absolutely fit into High Point. It wouldn't drastically change anything, but it would clear some things up, and it would give some new life to some old characters, if that makes sense.
100%.
Like you said, it's just a new way to get to where I've already gone before with characters, but this would breathe some new life into the way that they did it. So yeah, I think a few changes, this could absolutely work for High Point. It's just not like groundbreaking, but yeah, solid 7 out of 10. I love this. I love how it's written. I love how it flows. I'm really curious sometimes, like, how long people like put into these creations, because sometimes like you want to say, like, I want to say like this feels like time was put into this, like a thought was really put into the whole thing. But then other times I've said that before, and you're like, oh yeah, I wrote that in 15 minutes, and I'm like, that feels weird to say.
Wild.
But yeah, no, I mean it does. It feels really like this one really was trying to achieve something without shoehorning the player into playing
a specific,
you know how sometimes you've seen that where someone will build a subclass and really what they're doing is they're building their character. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, I have this subclass, and you read it and you're like, this is that character that you played. Like, this is your character just in subclass form.
Yeah.
And that's not what this feels
to be honest, that's really what I'm trying not to do with my samurai class, because I get that. I very, very much get that, and that's not what I'm trying to do.
And that's the thing is like when you read this,
it's
like,
easy
right out
to
the
do
gate,
as well, though.
You could see that this could have gone that way, right? Like with this description, it was beautiful, but you can also see like hints where it could have easily just been shoehorned into this is how you have to play this character. But this isn't what that does. This kind of like what we did this weekend, it just takes what you can do as a rogue and dials it up, right? Like, you know, the misdirection is very much what you would expect a rogue to be able to do. The disarm, I think, is just the perfect add-on for a rogue to have like this, especially because this rogue we can already see is not designed to be on the outskirts of combat. This is an in and out kind of fighter. I mean, if you chose like the pirate background for this, would be perfect. That like rapier style fighting where you're in and out, poking and diving out of the way and moving around the battlefield, just not really giving them a solid target to hit. That's kind of what I get from this. You know what I mean? And having something like being able to disarm and having so much on the advantages and being able to adjust your rolls at you know the drop of a dime because you have advantage on the situation. I think that's a great way to play a rogue, but I think that has been missing from the 5e subclasses.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this fills a hole that 5e. Hecate submitted a list of monsters. Oh, great. More
wild
monsters yet, though. We haven't done homebrew monsters before.
I love
first.
So Hecate, I keep forgetting to do this. You told me I could do it. Hecate sent me a link to a different website for some of his homebrew, and I went into it and I thought that what showed up on the screen was his homebrew, and so I created it and I turned it into a whole thing. Come to find out, it was just somebody else from the website. So I have some random homebrew to give you guys that I thought was Hecate's monsters, but was not.
Oh, that's funny. So hey, can we get
Pokeniners
average?
Yes. We gotta
remember that's just gotta be the thing that we do now is post people's averages so we can or at least mention their averages. It's always nice to kind of figure out where people are going.
Pokeniner. Your average is a 6 at the moment.
Nice.
Yes, it's very good. I feel like it's been fairly steady around that range.
Which is funny because I did some research, I think 2 weeks ago, and the last I saw, the actual overall average is like 4. If I remember correctly, I think if you average the entirety of all submissions, I want to say the average was 4.
Let me...
Hecate's random homebrew. So hard drink.
That is true if we take into account everything that hasn't been reviewed yet. But if we remove everything that's been that hasn't been reviewed yet, the average
number skewed it. Gotcha. So I was looking at the wrong number. Gotcha.
So you just got to filter out anything that doesn't have a check mark on it, and we get a 6 overall.
Okay, so the community.
So a little bit more.
Okay, so and then can you undo anything that's not from the community? Because that's overall leaderboard. That's everything that we've judged.
Okay.
Everything that we've reviewed, including D&D Beyond, your kids, your players, and all of that. So what is the community's average? Because I think that's a better average to go against, is the community's average, not everything that we've ever looked at.
Still a 6.
Okay, so the community's average is still a 6. So Pokeniner, you are leading the pack right down the middle with everybody. I think Cosmic's at 7. I think
I will say Cosmic gave us a resubmission already recently, but I've noticed that we have on here we have a TBD for one of his. We didn't rate it because the Pinnacle. It was
unfinished. Remember that? I can't even remember that I remembered that name. No, you're absolutely right. The Pinnacle was never finished. Cosmic, are you in chat? I don't think Cosmic's in chat today.
Cosmic is not in chat today. It's not on homebrew.
Unfortunately.
We're calling you out, Cosmic.
I know, right? It's not his homebrew, so he's not here.
Oh, it's all good, but
that's how it be sometime. But yeah, okay, so that's fantastic. So yeah, because I want to say, I don't know if anybody's currently averaging higher than 8. I want to say when I looked a couple weeks ago, I kind of just, quickly filtered through everybody, and I want to say someone was writing around an 8.
So I actually have a list of everyone's averages.
Well,
and the only person that it looks like, but that's only because I think they only have one review. Hoilepa has one review, and I believe it got a 9.
So by default, Hoilepa has the lead.
An average of 9.
And Hoilepa's gonna retire.
Oh, and Lucifer's the same way. Lucifer has one submission and an average of 9, but with a.
Oh wait, we gave the rings 9. I don't remember, honestly. Like,
did we?
That was his rings of. That was the rings of Alara, right?
Yes, it should be.
This whole set got a 9. Wow.
Let me look.
I don't honestly remember. Like, it's so crazy.
No, they got a 3. Why is his showing up as a 9?
And Hecate says theirs was a 6. So are your things messing up? Technical difficulties.
Possibly. Yeah, why is that? Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at this formula. Stand by.
Okay.
Stand by.
We'll have to post in the Discord once we get some averages. Maybe you can post a little like webhook that just kind of just shout outs like the top people or whatever.
Got you.
If you guys want to see that. But anyway, so that was fantastic. Thank you guys so much for that. We did that one in a solid like 2 hours. That's not bad. A little bit shorter than normal, but maybe that's going to be okay for the winter months. Like,
that's okay. That's okay.
That's all right. Let me check in on the polls that we have. So we got some polls in Discord. If you guys want to be part of that, Discord link is in chat right now. It was like 9 for a 5-minute piece of work, and simply no. All right, so we got some polls in Discord right now, y'all. So I'm gonna pull that up real quick. Let's look at some Discord stuff before we take off for the night. So, hello, Discord. There we go. All right, so I did a couple votes this week in polls, which is now under Misfit Gamers Community at the very end, because that's where we're going to be interacting with you guys a lot. I had a couple questions for you guys. I wanted to know, should I start playing video games again? I have not done this in probably 3-4 months. I haven't maybe about 3 months. I haven't sat down on the weekends, played video games, and just hung out with you guys. It's never been my focus. I've kind of always said this, video games aren't my focus. I'm not a video game streamer. I'm not looking to do video game content like permanently or always, but I do like playing video games. I do like the idea of just sitting down, being able to chat with you guys, have chat there, give me tips and tricks on the games I'm playing.
Sure.
I really do like that. I like the community, and I like having the idea of having like a get to know me style stream where it's like, it's not
very casual
on a topic where I'm either trying to read off of something or having researched something and give you guys information. Yeah, it's just more of hanging out, get to talk with me where we're not, being, specifically trying to be entertaining. So I wanted to know what you guys thought. If you guys wanted more, if you guys just wanted me to stick to D&D and you guys weren't really interested in it. If you guys were just like, yeah, it'd be cool, but if you guys do it a lot, I'm not going to watch, like only on the weekends kind of thing. If you guys just wanted to be more of like a specific, you guys would watch it if you guys were like, hey, go play this game. Like, if the community said, would you do that? Noragami, but I'm gonna work. Oh, Noragami. That sounds familiar. I'm not 100% sure I've seen the anime, but I think I've seen it pop up in my list. Yeah, Soul's saying that he's building something off of that. But
very interesting.
Anime Noragami. I know I've seen it. I just don't think I've watched it.
I don't know if I know that one, but that sounds awesome.
And these polls are still up in the Discord, y'all. So with this one, should I start gaming again? We got 5 votes right now. And right now we have 2 votes for yes. So people want more live content. 2 votes for yes, but occasionally on weekends. For the most part, that's what I would do. I think if I did it during the week, it would probably be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It would definitely not replace D&D discussions by any means. If I did it during the week, it would probably just be like for a short thing, but most likely they would always be on the weekends. That's usually when my free time to just game would happen. And then we only got 1 vote for not unless you guys ask for it. So that's kind of nice to know that, if there is a community stream that you all want to see us do video games, at least there's some interest in there, because no one said no. So at least you guys are interested in more content. Depending upon how specific it is, we'll decide. So following that, I did 2 other ones, which are still up. I listed all of the current single player games in one poll, and in another poll, all of the multiplayer games that I not only have, but based on my interest and my ability to pay attention to them and other things, these are the ones that I'd be willing to do on stream because I feel like I'd be able to be either entertaining while playing or interactive with chat. So we have 8 votes. These are multi-votes as well, so you guys can pick as many as you want. Simple to see me play Call of Duty in Hitman is just funny. Yeah. There's a couple maps I was doing so terrible on, so I ended up having to shoot my way out.
Wild.
There's one I got stuck in like this alley or this like this ditch, and I was just sitting at the end of the ditch just waiting for people to come around the corner, and I was just trying to sit there just piling up the bodies. I ran out of bullets, had to pick up a shotgun. Well, I went to go pick up an assault rifle, ended up picking up a shotgun instead, so I had to wait for people to get super close so I could take them out, so then I could go pick up the shotgun or the assault rifle without getting shot.
Wild.
It was absolute insanity. All right, so I got a couple games here. So on this list, I have the list of the name of the game as well as a very small descriptor if you've never heard of it. So Ready or Not, which is a realistic FPS, realistic as in it's a SWAT-based game, so FPS, but much more realistic than like Call of Duty. Hitman, which is a strategic third-person kind of shooter. Shadows of Doubt, which is an open-world crime detective game. I love that one. Noida, it is a pixel art one-building dungeon crawler. Love that game. So fascinating.
Wait, which one?
Noida.
Oh, I don't think I voted for that one. I want to vote for that one.
Yeah, it's a dungeon crawler, but it's a wand builder as well. So it's a procedurally generated. Everything's always new, and you just build out wands to get deeper and deeper into the cave.
That's kind of cool.
I have Portal 1 and 2, and I also have the fan-made Portal Revolution, which is kind of like a
I definitely voted for that one.
Physics-based puzzle game. Backpack Battles is an inventory management game. So
I remember that one. You showed me that one a while back.
It's kind of fun. FTL is Faster Than Light, a strategic survival resource management. So you're in a spaceship. You're going from like basically, it's kind of like the games like Slay the Spire and whatnot, where you're going from one side of the map to the other. You have to choose.
Oh, I love Slay the Spire.
What levels you're going to go to, and then while you're in those levels, you have to resource management and manage your spaceship and your people.
Got it.
You can get attacked, you can trade, you can upgrade. There's a whole lot of stuff that has to happen. It's really fun. There's Black Mesa, which is the fan-made remake of the original Half-Life, kind of like a horror FPS, one of my favorite games of all time. BPM, Bullets Per Minute, is a rhythm-based FPS, so it's a first-person shooter, but you have to fire, reload, and basically do everything to the beat of the song that's playing.
Why does that remind me of that one VR game? There's this one VR game where you're literally going through. It's like
the pistol whip.
Yeah, it's like Beat Saber except with pistols. Yeah,
it's kind of like that. So it's very similar to that one. Where you have to shoot. Yeah, there's a like techno song playing. There's a beat counter on your screen, and you have to shoot. You have to reload. You have to do everything basically to the beat, or it won't work. So the whole game is just keeping to the beat, and it's a dungeon crawler as well. So that one's really a lot of fun. And then Kerbal Space Program, realistic flight sim. I have the first one. I played it. I was terrible at it. I think I got to space a handful of times. I think I got to orbit was the best I ever got. I think I was finally able to get to orbit, but I know nothing about rocket science. That would be definitely a game.
I'm not a rocket scientist.
I mean, that would definitely be a game where it would be me really leaning into chat and hoping they could help out, and us just doing ridiculous stuff and seeing what we could like get away with. But I'm not a rocket scientist, so I that would just be a lot of like ridiculousness.
For sure.
So let's show the results. These are all the first player games. So showing the results. It looks, I wish this was, I could like just order in like who's leading, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, show me. All right, so we got 1 for Ready or Not, 3 votes for Hitman, and 3 votes for Portal. So Hitman and Portal are definitely the top votes. We got 1 for Ready or Not, 1 for Shadows of Doubt. We got 2 for Noida, 1 for Backpack Battles.
And make that 3 for Noida. I'm gonna add mine in there.
We get 3 for Noida. That'll be a good one. 1 for Kerbal. Nothing for Black Mesa or BPM. Interesting. I was kind of hoping that people would vote for Black Mesa, but that's all right.
Which one's Black Mesa again?
That is Half-Life, but it's the fan remake, so everything's been redone. All of the graphics have been upgraded. It's not like a modern game,
interesting.
But it is absolutely a fantastic fan remake. I mean, meticulous. All of the graphics were redone, but to meticulous detail. It's basically a 1-for-1.
That's wild.
But everything was remade.
That's impressive.
It was so great. Yeah, so it looks like you guys do want to see me play. Hitman's obviously, I did that one yesterday. I actually think I did pretty well. If you play Fortnite, you'll play with me. All right, awesome. I have, I really only do rocket racing, and then I'll do ranked no build. Usually solo ranked no build. Those are pretty much the 2 things I usually play. I do play Festival, but the problem with that is obviously, monetization. You can't really get
that's
paid
fair.
and do that. So I don't ever know how. Maybe what we'll do is like maybe we'll do a game night with chat where we won't stream, but we'll be in Discord, and then we could do like festival or something to where we could just
that would be cool.
You and I could like get into a party, and then we'll just invite people, and then we can stream it in Discord and not worry about monetization.
That's fair.
If you guys would like that, let me know. I think that would be kind of cool, like games of chat night.
Yeah, I mean, I'd play some regular zero build ranked with you too.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, if we all just hopped into Fortnite and then just hopped into Discord and then just played 2 games with somebody and then swapped them out for somebody else, and then we'll play a couple games, swap them out. Like that would be kind of fun. If you guys are interested in that, let us know. That would be a lot of fun to try out. Only play no build. Yeah, I don't touch anything other than no build. That's
I feel like gamers, especially FPS gamers at a certain generation, like Halo players and like old school COD players,
I think most competitive okay, so here's my hot take on it. Most competitive FPS players, like most actual competitive FPS players, don't like build. Those that like build are Fortnite FPS players. Like those that really like them, because there is no other game that does it, right? It's not really
I think they're they definitely started it. I think there are slowly greeting others that do stuff like that.
Realistically speaking, it's like the building isn't really a tactic. Like, especially if you see the people that are really good, like they don't even build during those games. They wait for somebody to just peak, and then they just do what they do best. Like building is more of a waste of time and a defensive, and just trying to hope that you have a advantage. But I will say this: really, the best.
I've seen some people and their building skills, and I'm like, I don't know they're like doing all these things, and they're actually creating things, and they're editing, and I'm like,
and that's why it's like, but it's like when it comes down to
it's just chaos, man.
Of like the first person shooter, more times than not, they're just trying to get a position because the other person's still a better shot. And it's like, so at the end of the day, that's my biggest gripe about it. It's like, I don't do it because
I want to be good at shooting. Yes,
I'm there to play a first person shooter. If I want to go build, I'm gonna go play Rust. That's all I'm saying. If I want to build and fight, I'm gonna go play Rust. That's my hot take.
No hate though.
Solo though, if you do jump into rocket racing, and we would absolutely love to kill it in some rocket racing. I do love that game. Lord of the Rings, Shadow of Mordor and War. I have seen that one. The only thing I've never really been into Lord of the Rings in most of its facets, but the one thing I do appreciate about their games that I really wish it wasn't patented by them, but I really want it, is their Nemesis system. I absolutely love that because I have something similar to that just in High Point. Like I definitely
Nemesis system. What are we talking about?
So Lord of the Rings, it was 2 of their games have it, and I think it's Shadow of Mordor has it. So basically, the enemies in the game are, if you go after them and you beat them,
I think I know what you're talking about.
They'll come back, but it's procedurally generated to, depending on how you beat them, will depend on how they physically and mentally change. So like if you burn an orc, he'll come back with burn scars. And he will react to fire differently, but that will change his attitude towards you. Where if you chopped off a limb, he might come missing that limb, but that would also change how he comes after you. So each one got affected by your previous battle, and they would alter and change based on your playthrough and how you did that. So it was very much a way to build out a unique playthrough, and basically give replayability. Because your nemesis would be different each time. So
I really like that. I think that's very cool.
Yeah, so it's like I really did like the concept of that. I'm just not huge on the franchise itself, so I just have no interest in the storyline or the game. Magicraft 2D roguelike where you create your own spells. What? Where is this? Is this on Steam?
That sounds wild.
That sounds amazing.
A roguelike where you create your own spells?
Where is my... Oh, there it is. I'm looking this up real quick. What's it called? Magicraft? It's $12. $13. I am looking at it in Steam right now. Roguelike game that uses a variety of spells to match unimaginable spell effects and the construction of ultra high degrees of freedom. So it looks like a bullet hell with spells.
Bullet hell?
Just bullets all over the screen, like bullet hell game where it's just like you're dodging and firing at the same time. So it looks a little bit like that. Looks a little bit like RPG-ish. Okay. I'm putting this on my wish list. It's actually on sale right now. Interesting. You are the bullet hell. Interesting. add to my wish list. I'm gonna take a look at this a little bit more, and I might check.
Maybe add that to the list.
It's only $12. I might actually buy that.
Sick.
This looks kind of interesting. I've been looking for like a small little game I can kind of like, you know, that takes my attention for a little bit, but I don't have to like sit there. Like I wanted to get Vampire Survivors, but it's just, as fun as that game is, it's like I really don't know if I want to
put money on it.
No, it's not $5. It's not really $5. It is. I'm lying. It is. I won't play it to justify $5.
That's fair enough, and I totally get that.
Hecate, you play Rust? Yeah, I used to play Rust a lot. I had a server that I was a part of for a while. Really enjoyed it. I'm not a big grindy person. I really don't like grindy. You know, like just constantly have to log in and do 5 hours of work before I can have fun kind of games. So yeah, I like Rust. I like it, but it's just like
eventually it becomes a slog.
Without finding the right server to have the right community, a lot of it is very boring. You know what I mean? And unless you're super good, it can be very boring and very tedious, or it can be very frustrating really quick, especially if there are people that are better than you like immediately. It's just like there's a lot of things about Rust where it's like it's definitely one of those games where you don't have to dedicate a lot of time in order to play it, but you have to dedicate a lot of time in order to be proficient. Yeah, like anybody can just pick it up and play and have a good time, but to actually like go out on like the public servers and actually do well, you have to like dedicate time to it. And it's too much of a slog for me. It's too hard. Be careful, this can crush my PC. I saw the beta was for free, but it does look like there's a sale version, so I'll put that on my wish list. I'm gonna check out the Magic Craft and see if that's any good. We have VR, Blades and Sorcery. So I have done Blades and Sorcery. My computer kind of sucks with some of the mods that I put on it, and I have a shitty VR headset. But eventually, I would love to get, once I get a proper VR headset and a proper PC, I'd love to get into VR games.
I keep seeing TikToks for Blade and Sorcery. It looks so cool.
I played it for so long. I had a bunch of mods on it. It just, I got kind of bored waiting for the next expansion. Like it just gets kind of boring, but they did so much while I owned it. The maps that they added, the mods that they were adding. I mean, I was customizing it so much. Like it was really cool. But after a while, it's like you could only replay the same level over and over and just be like, I want a different narrative. I want a bigger map. Oh yeah, the Star Wars mods, that was one of my favorites because I would just like I had like this perfect set out to where it's like I had one of the mods that you could put weapons almost anywhere in your body.
Oh yeah.
So I like decked out my whole body with just different weapons from like the like from Star Wars, Marvel, all of this stuff. Wild. So I like walk through the map and I would just grab a weapon, kill a couple guys, and then throw the weapon at somebody, grab a different weapon. So I would see how far through the map I could go with just like
with whatever weapons you end up throwing.
Changing weapons. It's so much fun. You know, to have like the Star Wars powers to just lift somebody up with your telekinesis and throw them. Yeah, because you could do that. It was so great. I will definitely get into VR once that happens. Okay, so multiplayer games that I suggested. So Hitman and Portal are definitely the top two, and then Noida will probably be next after Kage gets in there.
Hell yeah.
So for multiplayer games, I have Fortnite, which I played the Battle Royale FPS, as well as the racing version, which is Rocket Racing. I love Rocket League in general, so it's kind of nice that they partnered.
Very cool.
The Finals, which is a team-based FPS. So this is objective-based kind of FPS. I really enjoy that game. It's kind of new. It's fully like destructible environment, which is really fun. I did
look at that link you sent me a while ago. Sadly, it is only for the PS5 that I can get it. I know. I was so mad, but my lady and I have been talking about potentially getting a PS5 one of these days. So.
Tina's Tiny Wonderland. Isn't that the D&D Borderlands? It is, huh? Yes.
D&D Borderlands.
So
what?
Borderlands did a DLC, and it's called Tina's Tiny Wonderland, and it's basically like Tiny Tina from Borderlands, and she runs like a D&D game for you, and it's Borderlands but D&D. Like it's like a
wild.
I remember seeing it, and I never played it. I never
Is
actually.
It VR?
No, I think it's just regular
console. Or PC.
Yeah, let me bring it up. Yeah. Oh shit, no, it is not a DLC. It is a $60 game.
Beyond the borderlands. A world forged by wonder and ruled by fate. There's one alone who can wield fate. One alone.
So it's mixed reviews, but mostly positive, all time, mixed recent.
That's you. Heavy, right?
So yeah, so here's kind of some gameplay. It's basically playing Borderlands in a D&D like storyline.
Does it play like Baldur's Gate at all?
I think it plays like Borderlands. I think it's just more of your over-the-top shooter in a D&D setting with like D&D like characters and narration.
Oh, so you don't like, it's not turn-based, you're not like picking a D&D class that you choose, you're not leveling up like that.
No, I think it's just Borderlands, but it's just flavored like your, you know,
interesting
storyline of D&D, but it's still the Borderlands game. Okay, this is so expensive though, Jesus.
Heroes can't stop.
So yeah, so here's some gameplay. Like you see, it's definitely Borderlands gameplay.
Yeah.
It's just Borderlands gameplay, but it's definitely skinned. That's interesting. I'll put that one on my wish list, and I'll consider that one for when I have some stuff, some funds for that. So back to the multiplayer games. I also have Rocket League on there. Sports with RC cars is basically how I wrote that one, because that's all it really is. It's different sports. It's like basketball, soccer.
Can you really do basketball and stuff with it?
Oh, dude, hoops. Oh, hell yeah, dude, hoops. You play hoops?
I've only ever seen people play soccer.
Yeah, so there's soccer, there's hoops, which is basketball. There's dropout, which is collapsing the floor underneath your player or your enemy team, which is kind of cool. And then there's also ice hockey with the puck and everything.
Wild.
Yeah. So and then they have like some other specialty ones. So yeah, it's basically that, but with RC cars. Dead by Daylight, asymmetric survival horror games. If you guys haven't played that, it's killer versus 4 survivors. You get different power-ups and stuff, and then you have to go after them.
I remember that.
If you guys saw the one, they did a very similar one for what's it called? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They did their own asymmetric horror game recently.
Really?
And that's no longer popular because it's kind of just very basic and very straightforward. You know, it's based off a movie. You can't really expand far beyond like, you know, the different outfits. No Portal 2 multiplayer. I don't know if I have them. I don't know if I actually have. Is Portal 2 like an actual mod, or is it built into the game? Oh no, it is. Portal 2 is built into the multiplayer. I guess
it's just 2-player multiplayer.
But yeah, it's local multiplayer. It's not online, is it?
Oh, is it not?
Is it? I don't know. I've never honestly played Portal 2 without my wife, so I don't know if I can play online or not.
That's fair.
I'm double checking right now because I thought it was only local, but maybe it is. Online co-op. No, okay, it is online. Okay, cool. Would make sense.
Dope.
So yeah, I might be able to add that on there depending upon interest. Sea of Thieves, open world pirate adventure. Always love me some Sea of Thieves.
Nice.
Phasmophobia, if anybody's interested in a ghost detective horror survival game. Labyrinthine is a newer one that my wife got me into. It's a horror survival puzzle maze. So you go through a maze, you have to solve puzzles, and you have to hide from monsters and stuff. It's very, very interesting.
Interesting.
And then of course there's Rust, which is the survival craft. It's just survival craft, FPS, a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
That one I'd probably end up going on like a buddy's server or something for the first couple times to practice before we go on to public ones. So let's see the results of this. We have 14 votes out. Right now we have 3 votes for Fortnite, so it seems like everybody's really big into Fortnite. And wow, everything else has 2 votes except for Labyrinthine only has 1. But everything else has 2. So the finals, Rocket League, Sea of Thieves, Phasmo, and Rust all have 2 votes. So it seems like y'all just want me to play everything. I should apparently just
play all the things.
Now, what does that mean for how often I'm going to be able to play all those different games? Who knows? But at least it's going to be nice. A co-op game, SCP-5000. So I have only ever played SCP Secret Lab, and it wasn't that fun. So I don't know if I like SCP games, but the problem is there's so many of them.
Is there really?
Oh yeah, there's like 10.
I keep hearing about these SCPs, but I've never actually.
So as far as I understand, SCP is basically like it started out like it's older than the Backrooms. As far as I understand it, it basically started out the same way. SCP is kind of like a not a creepypasta, but it's like it started like an online kind of like how Backrooms did, this online kind of concept, and then it just grew. And now, even though all of these are SCP, they're not technically all the same game. They're not prequels or anything. They're just
different variations.
It's like a whole universe.
Yeah,
So it's like this game is about somewhere that happened over here, unrelated to, but in the same universe as the other games, as far as I understand.
Okay.
But yeah, the whole thing is SCP is secure, contain, protect, or something like that. But they're also it's their acronym. It's like a company. It's also their acronym, but they also call the creatures SCPs. The whole concept is they're trying to protect the real world from otherworldly creatures.
Because all I've seen really are not even anything that has to do with any game, but they're just like little TikToks or little videos that like describe a certain SCP and its powers.
Yeah, and they're always a number, and that's where they mostly the games try to like do those. But yeah, that's where it started from. Was someone would be like, this is SCP-72, and it would give you this whole breakdown like a monster of what it can do and what it's like. I remember one of the weirdest ones was like SCP-1 was like the sun turned into an event, like an SCP object, so the sun became SCP-1.
Oh, wild.
So that was like, that was one of the versions of the story. So yeah, SCP is very, very weird. Has a very, very weird backstory. I mean, again, it just seems to keep on growing just like Backrooms.
Yeah.
But this is older. So it's just constantly grown in so many corners of the internet.
That's so interesting.
I wonder what 5K FPS puts player in the midst of where SCP Foundation has turned on humanity. Oh, that's interesting. So that's going to be like more of like a futuristic post-apocalyptic. We're no longer here to contain, we're here to release. Interesting. It's an early access. That's an Omni edition. How much is it? $20 for early access isn't too bad. I'll have to think about that one. Which I remember you have to escape. I think most of the SCP ones are like you have to escape. You have to like usually get out of whatever facility. So it is basically creepypasta. The fans created all the creatures and the monsters that are studied and all of that. Yeah, and then all fans like create documents and like how it happens, and like people will create like like I ran into this SCP and do like fake like survivor stories, and then the games just came from that. Kind of like what Backrooms did. Just started online, and then someone was like, I could do that.
Wild.
All right. So I think we are going to end it there. We are ending well before 9 p.m., which is going to be nice for you to get home well enough.
I'm here for it.
And yeah, so what are we doing this Friday? I had a plan. I had an idea in mind. Let's search.
You know what I need to do though?
We did caring about official updates. We don't need that. Oh, that's right. We wanted to do the IRL magic. That's what I wanted to do. And Soul let me know that there is also, it's not just cantrips through 3rd level, but people are also talking about beyond that. So we're going to have that a part 2 as well.
IRL, what are we talking about?
So this Friday, we'll be talking about IRL magic. Basically, just talking about kind of like the implication and kind of like the manifestation of magic and of D&D, how it would really be applicable to the real world, how it may manifest and look.
Interesting.
And then we have to basically choose, if you could choose 1 cantrip, 1 1st level, 1 2nd level, and 1 3rd level spell from D&D to have in the real world, which ones would you choose? You have 4 spells. That's it. Which ones do you choose? 1 of each. That's what we're going to talk about this Friday. And then maybe next Friday, if that goes off and everyone likes that episode, the following Friday, we'll talk about what happens if you get to choose a 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th level spell.
Wild.
And if that goes well, we'll probably talk about an 8th and 9th level spell.
Why not? Why not finish it off?
Yes. So that will be for this Friday. We will just talk about D&D magic, how it might manifest in the real world, and if we were to choose any D&D magic of cantrip through 3rd, what would we take? So join us on Friday. TikTok is not a spell, it's a curse. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I hope you have a great week ahead of you. We will be back on Friday at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. We may reconsider Fridays, even doing a little bit earlier and going 7 o'clock. We'll find out. We'll see how this Friday goes, see if that works any better. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a great week. I hope work is not too terrible for everybody. I hope you all are staying safe and staying warm now that the winter is finally
here.
Getting kicked in.
Kind of excited about it.
Yeah, kind of excited, kind of not. Mixed feelings, but I'd much rather have this than the heat waves. Yes. All right, so you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. We will be back on Friday. I don't know if I'll be gaming this week, but if I do, it might be more Hitman. I don't know. I gotta keep practicing. Maybe it will be one of those other ones. I don't know. I'll just maybe have to do a roulette wheel now.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'll just play a random one. I don't know, guys. Just quick little updates we have, or not updates, but just a quick little thing. We have the link to the Discord in the chat, and as well as the link to all of our social media, to our link tree. So if you missed anything on this stream and you want to catch it, you can go onto our YouTube VOD channel and you can catch our live stream there and all of our previous live streams. And also I am working really hard this month to make a new TikTok goal. So we are at I think I just hit 80 followers on TikTok. I am pushing to get to 100 by the end of November. Right now I'm sitting at 80 and I have 3,225 likes. So my goal for the end of November is to get to 100 followers and 5,000 likes. I really hope you all can help me out.
We can do that.
And push that. I post every single day on TikTok, Misfit Gamer Studios. Go follow, go like as many of those as you guys can. Share them if you guys can. I would really appreciate it. Just want to hit a milestone so I can really feel like we're growing. And then I'll probably hit another milestone there. But if you guys can, check us out. Links in link tree. But otherwise, you guys have been fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up. Pokeniner, Soul, Hecate, Hoilepa. I want to say Aki was in there.
Aki was here for a little bit. Yep.
I thought I saw Bing Dungeon, not in chat, but I think I saw them pop in
hanging
for
out,
just
listening.
a minute. So yeah, thanks you guys, everybody. We love you guys so much for hanging out and keeping us company, guys. Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.